Grouse Mountain up behind like Clay's old house. All that stuff.
I don't think I've ever been. I don't think I've ever been there. Yeah. Cool country.
Yeah, it's great. Awesome country.
Yeah.
It's like perfect country.
Is that his first buck?
Mm-hmm. He killed an antelope the year before that.
Gotcha.
So it's his second animal. That's his first buck. Though.
Yeah.
4-point. I mean, can't go wrong.
Yeah, great buck. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk first buck, best buck, the ones you screwed up on.
Great little lead right there.
That's because like we planned it, right?
Yeah.
I didn't plan that, by the way. Yeah, I guess first and foremost, we should say we're missing Brady Miller today.
Old Bradley J.
Bradley J he shot at me a text this morning and posted it up in Slack. Looks like he killed an Oryx.
He did post it in Slack. I haven't seen it yet.
I thought he did, didn't he?
Check it right now. Did he?
Did he? I thought I saw that.
Showed you how far behind I am.
I couldn't remember if I saw it in a text message or if I saw it on Slack, but it looks like he shot a broken horn Oryx.
Yeah, there we go.
He said 2 shots, 500 yards. Said he aced them both.
That is the Brady I know. Look how heavy he is on the base.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're just cool animals, huh?
The best, dude.
You know what I love about Brady's grip and grins? I don't see Brady smile that often. I got to thinking about it. When I see a grip and grin of him, he's actually like he's got that big, Brady Miller smile. I think this is more the look I'm used to when it comes to Brady. Yeah. It's like the half open. He's got the mustache hanging.
Yeah, the stoic weird
inch over
look.
his top lip. But yeah, I actually don't remember seeing him just outright smile a lot.
Man, he cheeses in his.
Yeah, his grip and grins are cheese.
Look at this smile.
Which is good. I guess you should be happy, right?
Yeah. I can see every tooth in his mouth.
He said cool thing about it was that his dad was there. So him and his dad, he and his dad are close. And so they both got to be there. And
yeah, his dad, because their hunt got pushed back a little bit because of work and some other stuff. And the guy they were going down there with. But his dad got to hang out in the office for a couple of days. I love his dad. His dad's
I've never spent any time with his dad.
Oh, he's a stud.
Seems like a cool guy.
Loves to hunt. Loves to hunt. He's such a stud.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I told him we have to have barbecue because everybody says Oryx tastes the best.
I'd love to taste it.
You ever had it?
No, never.
I haven't either.
I've wanted to hunt him forever, but I've just never, I don't know, I've never really tried to figure it out.
I've eaten Aoudad, but I've never eaten Oryx. Everybody says Oryx is the best.
I'd love to.
So I'll have to grill it up, have Brady bring in some steaks. We'll do a barbecue.
Sounds fantastic.
Throw it on the Traeger.
Wonder if he's going to skull mount it.
Oh, Brady has to mount everything. Brady mounts
He does mount everything.
He mounts everything.
That's where I would be in a tough position with either skull mounting or shoulder mount because the cape is incredible. But on the skull mounts of those things look so good. Yeah,
we talked about this, Brady and I, when we were in Eugene. We were flying back, and I was like, what are you going to do with the thing? You gonna Euro it? Because that's what I would do. I would Euro it, and then I would just rug the whole thing.
That would be cool. That's a good way to do it.
Because their hides are just so cool.
Yeah. They even get down on the socks, down on their ankles to get that break in the pattern right there.
Yeah, I would want the whole cape on that animal.
Yeah.
Because the chances of ever killing one again are pretty slim, I would
Probably
think.
Not good. Yeah.
Yeah. But he drew his first year. I guess he applied, so you never know.
That's Brady, though. That's the Brady Miller luck.
I need some of that luck in my life, right?
That's the way it goes for him.
So we're going to hit some promos before we get started. Today, like I said, we led into it. Lorenzo and I I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, been watching a lot of hunt films just in the evenings, just kind of taking it in. I'm just excited for the hunts coming up, and I thought it'd be cool just to get the hype going, just to get excited and just talk about, best buck, first buck, and just kind of the ones you screwed up on, and just kind of do some hunting stories and just lessons learned from different hunts and just kind of pick your brain. You've killed a bunch of big animals. I've killed a few, but I thought we'd just talk about...
it is kind of, it's that first week in August right now, the end of the first week in August. It is kind of that time where everybody starts telling you, kind of relive. Yeah, it's weird. Sure. It's like you tell stories right after the hunts, and then it seems like it always picks up about this time every year. Yeah. Like, oh man, I remember when I was in there, and you start getting off on a story. It's like it all kind of circles back right now to the storytelling.
Yeah, and just my level of excitement is just going up. And it's funny, I can watch a hunt film in December, and it almost makes me feel a little bit depressed.
Yeah.
I can watch a hunt film right now.
And get
it's exactly
up,
the opposite effect. Yeah, I'm so into it right now. And then I told you this morning I left Cedar, and it's I got a sweatshirt on obviously, but there's a little bit of snap in the air.
Yeah.
Even in Vegas.
We felt a bit of it this morning.
Yeah, I just rolled in, and it wasn't torch me, when I got out of the truck.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be hot this afternoon, but in Vegas you always you can kind of feel it turning right in that first the first part of the morning. Man, it's a good feeling.
Yeah. I love that fall air. It's my favorite time of year when you got just a little bit of snap to it. morning and evenings.
God, hunting, football. Oh, it's so good.
It's the best. So I'm going to hit you with promos first. We have a bunch of promos to run through real quick just because we got a lot of cool things actually happening. I touched base with the marketing crew before I popped in today. I was just like, hey, what do we got rolling on, you know?
Yeah.
And then I was actually surprised at everything that we've got going on. So we've got the GOHUNT 10th birthday right now. So 10 years we've been around.
It's crazy.
Is that hard to believe?
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. We were doing this... We're doing a lot of stuff around it, obviously, right? Like it's 10 years is a big deal, and we made it the 10 years. But Omar was going around kind of asking all of us how he felt about 10 years. And he asked me the same question, does it feel like it? I said, man, when I think back at like everything we went through, like the stress, the trying to get going, I mean, a real startup, trying to make it, all that stuff, it feels like it's been 50 fucking years, literally. But yes.
Really?
Yes, my hair is, I'm balding and gray, and my beard's gray. It's like that happened fast. But when I look back at like what we've accomplished in 10 years, no, it doesn't. Like it's kind of crazy to think what we've done in 10 years. When I look at it that way, it does not feel like it. But when I think about what it's done to my health and all that stuff, yeah, it's been more than 10 years.
Yeah, stressful, huh?
Gosh dang.
What do you think the percentage of a business that stick around more than, I mean, what is the lifespan of a business, do you know?
I think it's less than, I can't remember. I think it's less than 10% of startups make it. Wow. And then I think it's way less than that of a business making it 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, 10 years, man. I think 10 years, like my oldest kid would have been 7.
Yeah.
I think about that, and that really puts it in perspective for me, because you can see just the development in a person from where they are, from where they were when they were 7.
Development, because when this was started, I mean, I was in my mid-20s. Like that is a young.
Oh, yeah, you're a young
just
man.
Who I am now compared to then, it is so wild to think back on.
Yeah,
so wild.
Your 20s, it's like you're just trying to figure things out.
And that's what. And then I think about like, man, if I would have started it now, obviously with the same opportunities that were 10 years ago, because there's obviously not the same opportunities today as there was 10 years ago, but like mentally, if I would have done it now, we would have been further ahead. It's just back then I was so young, like naive,
but you wouldn't trade
young.
I
don't
think you get there. I don't think you get to the same spot. Maybe.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
You gotta be young and dumb. At 20.
Actually, yeah, that's a very good point. Young and dumb, because then the repercussions don't fully sink in when you're that young. You're like, whatever.
You learn lessons.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, you learn a lesson differently, right?
Now, kids, another one on the way. It's like, I don't know if I can do that.
Well, let's hit you with promos. So right now, birthday bash, we got Vortex, 20% off all items. That sale's going to end on Friday. So if you're listening to this, we're going to drop it on Thursday. So you basically got one full day through Friday this week. Code birthday20, you get 20% off on any Vortex item. Includes binoscopes, and there's no warranty better in the business than Vortex Optics.
Agreed.
I've always said, like, if you're going to spend, I probably answer this question once a day, I bet. What should I spend my money on? You know, I've got a weapon, I've got a tag. What's the next purchase? I always tell them optics, because I genuinely believe that it's the best money that you can spend in hunting. We've got Sitka, Stone Glacier, Argali, and Kennetrack. You're going to get 3 times the points for members.
It's a big one.
Yep, that's a big one, because those are items that typically are rarely on sale, especially when it comes to Stone Glacier or Argali.
And they're not on sale. We're just doing our points program, so it's our birthday gift back.
Yeah,
we wouldn't be 10 years old without the customer.
Yeah, we
give back their gifts. Birthday.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's true. Yeah, good point. So yeah, become a member. You get 3 times the points back. And if you guys aren't aware, we have this points program. If you're a GOHUNT Insider or a MAPS member, 1 point's $1. So any piece of gear you buy, a Stone Glacier backpack, maybe it's $600. We're gonna give you however many points, or
a lot of points.
A lot of points.
At the 3X,
we're gonna triple that.
Matter of fact, I'm kind of rethinking it. It's a lot of points.
Yep. And then we have another cool one. If you sign up for a membership, a GOHUNT Insider account or MAPS membership, we've got some promo codes. So for insiders, if you decide to sign up for an insider account, you use the promo code podcast. Typically, we're going to give 50 points back, which is $50 right now through the 18th of August. We're actually going to give you 100 points. So it's 100 points back. So if you join You get $100 back that you can spend towards the GOHUNT gear shop, and then you add that with some of these other promos. It's a pretty killer time to actually sign up for an insider account.
Mason wants to beat me up right now with all this stuff going on.
Yeah, Mason in finance is probably rolling over.
He's our finance guy, and he wants to beat me up, which he could. He played O-line for Boise.
He's a big dude. How big is he?
God, he's a big dude.
He looks like he's 6'5", 240.
I know he lost 70-something pounds from when he played.
Really?
Yeah. He showed me a picture when he played. I mean, he's a big dude. Even today, 70 pounds down, he is a giant. I mean, he's a big dude. Yeah, that guy's... I would guess 6'4", 230, 240.
Yeah.
He's a big dude.
And he's in finance.
He's the
muscle.
And he doesn't give... He's not like a warm and fuzzy kind of finance.
Yeah.
He's the guy that looks at you and
seems
you're
like a lineman.
okay. All right, I'll shut up.
Yeah. Yeah, funny guy, Mason.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Let's jump in. We'll just kind of run through. We want to jump in and talk some hunting stories. So I think for me anyway, as I was driving down and the last couple of days I've been thinking about it, but I wanted to ask you, what was your let's cover first buck, first bull, those kind of stories. Do you remember how old you were?
12.
You were 12?
Yep.
Really?
It's an easy one for me to remember because in Nevada, you have to be 12 to hunt.
Gotcha.
So I was waiting until I could hunt in those youth seasons. So you have to turn 12 while the season is active. Mm-hmm. So you could be 11 turning 12, to have the tag. And so I was turning 12 November 11th, and then the hunt was 2 days after that because I had the youth tag back then, and I was with my dad in Tonopah, Nevada.
Did your dad always hunt?
Always,
like growing up?
Yeah.
Like you guys always went hunting together?
So my dad's dad, Art Sartini, did not hunt.
Okay.
But his brother, Bill, which is my Uncle Heath's dad, who you know.
Gotcha.
So my Uncle Bill was a big time hunter. And my dad picked up hunting through his Uncle Bill. And then obviously my grandpa, my dad's dad, started hunting just as my dad picked it up with Bill, and he kind of joined the group, but he did not grow up with his dad hunting, just his uncle. So that's where he got it from.
Does he remember? It'd be interesting to talk to your dad sometime. We see if we get him on the podcast. But
we should.
Do you remember, did he talk about like big buck contests?
Oh,
because they used to run those all. And it was a big thing in Vegas.
It was a huge thing. And in Utah too. Back when he was hunting, the Paunsaugunt was an open tag. That's where they would go hunt. That's where my dad grew up hunting on just pond. General. Everyone had a tag, and they would all go to the ponds and they would do deer drives, and that's how he grew up hunting, was on the ponds.
Did you ever beat brush on a deer drive?
I never have.
They didn't ever send you out. They're like, hey, form a line.
I was, so by the time I came around, my dad was so busy and everything going on, like he didn't hunt as much as he did when he was in his late teenage years and 20s and all that. But he would tell me stories. I've never done it. It sounds like a blast.
I remember. I don't ever remember. I'm trying to remember if I ever actually did it. I think I did, but I remember seeing pickups with just piles of kids in the back, all with orange, and they would drop those guys off on a ridge, and then everybody else would run around, hit those pinch points, and then they would line out in a group and they would do deer drives, and they would push all the deer through there.
All of my dad's hunting photos are exactly what you just said. And he was one of the kids that was in all blaze orange.
Yeah.
And then his uncles and all of his uncles' friends, everybody would send all the kids in. And that's exactly what you're talking about. And there'd be $10 strung over a international scout. Remember those international scouts? Mm-hmm. And every single one of those photos, every single year, there is just an absolute giant on the hood, like an absolute giant.
Yeah, I remember that. I think that was probably one of the most common ways that we hunted deer out west that I think about it. I mean, you bought your tag general season, you went out, and that was kind of one of the things that everybody did was they went and did deer drives.
I would have loved to have been a part of that.
I'm trying to remember,
especially on the ponds.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
How thick it is too, and what's going to run out the other side. Like you know what I mean? On the ponds, it's crazy.
Yeah. The other thing I remember about being young, kind of those first hunts, same kind of deal. And I want to hear more about yours, but one of the things was like the anticipation of what might be. Yeah. Like what might happen, what you might kill or see. Because today you got trail cameras, everybody's got good optics. Everybody hunts differently now. Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody kind of posts up. They've got the glassing points and the good glass, and everybody's spending hours and hours behind their glass just picking apart a landscape. But I think we missed, and all the bucks are named. I mean, mostly right now, right? A lot of those big bucks, big bulls, they've got names. People have history with them. They've got sheds off of them. And I don't know that that's that way. Like, you can't extrapolate that across the entire West, but there's definitely pockets or areas, states where it's more prevalent.
Yeah. And I honestly think it's more prevalent than you would think, because only so few make it to be like the famous ones.
Yeah.
But then obviously, like, all those other good bucks have their own little networks of people that know them and name them and watch them on the winter range. They just don't make it to be,
don't make it known.
The famous ones.
The good ones don't make it known and put it out there. But yeah, that was like one of the things I remember as a kid, is just like the anticipation of what might happen. You just never knew.
That still gets me though. That's why I love hunting, is the anticipation. I still feel the same way.
Yeah. So you're 12.
Yeah.
And how did it happen?
So my dad he was really busy at the time. So he only hunted, few and far between. And he had hunted Tonopah, outside of Tonopah, 171, 172 area.
Did you have to draw the tag at that time?
I was youth, so I was guaranteed.
Oh, gotcha.
But back then my dad would draw tags, but it was so easy to draw tags back then. I mean, especially in 17. Right. So he had hunted it a bunch, and I had gone up with him before I was legally able to kill. Like, I had been I think I went up there 2 or 3 years in a row before I could actually hunt myself. So my dad had been hunting it a bunch. It's fairly close to Vegas. And he met a friend in Vegas. His name's Nick Perchetti, who lives in Tonopah. He would split time between here and Tonopah. I can't remember what he was doing, construction or something. My dad met him. And so they would hunt together. Mm-hmm. And he obviously knew the country. That was where he was born and raised, and he split time between Tonopah and here. Nick Perchetti is such a good guy. I run into him every so often now in my older age, and he's just a stud still today.
Still hunts?
Yeah, oh yeah, still hunts. But anyways, I'm going up there. We meet Nick Perchetti, and I'm playing football. I'm playing sports. My birthday is November 11th, so it was always kind of the thing with my dad that we'd always try to plan hunting somewhere.
Yep.
Well, this time I finally had a tag for myself. And
do you remember the rifle you used?
Yeah, 270 Winchester. Yeah, 270 Winchester, like the walnut stock, black, weird-looking scope. I can't even remember what the scope was.
Yeah, I want to say mine was a red filled, but
mine was a Winchester 270. Heavy as can be, small but heavy as can be. I was wearing a Nike beanie. In a God, what's the, not real tree? What was the other?
Mossy
oak jacket, like a shitty jacket, and jeans. And we met Nick in Tonopah. We drove about 2 hours out of Tonopah, and we started hiking up this ridge. And it's my first year. None of us are expecting really anything.
Do you remember the vehicle you had?
We were driving to my dad's. He had a Ford F-150, like just a normal pickup. Yeah. That's where he was driving at the time for his hunting vehicle. And we drove, we met in Tonopah that night. Woke up super early because we had to drive out around the mountain range to the other side. And Nick's kind of taken us to one of his spots. And I have an older brother. So he had already been here 2 years previous to me with Nick Perchetti and my dad. Mm-hmm. So Nick, my dad's been hunting this for however many years before Nick's born there. My brother hunted 2 years previous. So they kind of knew what they were getting themselves.
Is your brother with you as well?
No.
So
Blake was not with me.
You and your dad and Nick.
Yeah, Blake was in high school at the time, football, the whole thing. So it's just me and my dad driving up, met Nick, slept at the that little casino. There's that little... It's on the west side of the highway right there. It's just a little shitty thing, but it's awesome. Yeah. It's such a cool place. So we sleep there, wake up super early, drive around the other side, and we're hiking up. And I remember it so vividly, like as we're hiking up in the dark, headlamps on, it's my first year. So we're all just talking like, oh man, first one we see you're shooting, you better hope it's at least a point.
Any buck will do.
Like my brother's first buck was a little tiny 2-point.
Yeah.
How it's, what most people would say how it's supposed to be.
At that point, did you have expectations of any buck would do?
No, I felt so cool. I was holding a gun. I felt so cool that I had a gun in my hand and I was the one pulling the trigger. And I'd been on so many hunts with my dad before and even my brother before. And so that's what we were just talking. Whatever we see, you better hope this, that, kind of making fun of me. They're breaking me into becoming a new hunter, like, oh, you're going to shoot one smaller than your brother. It's not even going to have 2 points.
Yeah.
So anyways, we get up on top of this mesa, about an hour and a half hike, right as day's breaking. And I remember Nick saying, oh, there's a deer right there coming off that spring. And there was like this spring at the top of this mesa. And it was just kind of a straight up deal. I remember getting to the top, looking down, and you could still see the truck,
and
like one of those kind of hikes.
It's sagebrush PJ?
Yeah, sagebrush.
You got binos?
Oak. No. I don't have shit.
Scope.
Just the gun. And I felt so cool. I wanted everyone to take pictures of me with that gun. So we get to the top, and I remember Nick vividly, oh, there's a deer coming off that spring right there. And he's like, holy shit. It's getting excited. And my dad got wildly excited. Like wildly. My dad's not, you know, my dad, he doesn't get like overly excited all the time. Well, he got pretty amped
even
up.
kill guy.
I'm like, all right, let's kill it. They're like, no. We gotta figure this out. He's going into those. He's doing this. So
did you see the buck?
No, I didn't have binos.
Oh,
I'm just like, oh, where's the deer? Where is he? And we're, I don't know, maybe 400 or 500 yards away. And they're like, we got to get this figured out. And I remember them being really stressed. And I don't know exactly what they said, but they were both really stressed. And
it's kind of that weird thing. You don't really know what's going on.
And I'm just like, I'm just excited to shoot my own deer. So I'm like kind of trying to listen. Don't really know what's going on. They're like, all right, we gotta work down on him. I think he's in those oaks right there. I think that. Well, we worked down. I remember working down on him, and then Nick turned him up, bedded. He had went into that oak patch and bedded, never came out.
Time had passed.
Yeah, oh yeah. And he like kind of picked it apart. Now knowing what I know now, I know exactly what he did. He was just kind of working the country back and forth, just trying to pick up. Is he coming out? Is he staying in? The whole deal. And he picked up his horn in there. So we kind of worked around this little bowl to get a different angle looking into this oak patch. And got my gun down on a log, back of it on a backpack.
So you had a rest?
Yeah, oh yeah. I was like, my dad benched me up. I was ready to go.
Are they talking you through this the whole thing? Okay, they're setting you up.
But I don't remember super vivid like the setup. What I do remember vivid is looking through the scope, seeing his horn in the oak. He has real light, like real white horns. Even looking at him on my wall today, like it's just real white. So I could see it pretty easy. And I remember my dad, and it felt like every 10 seconds, and it was probably more like every 10 minutes, but every 10 seconds it felt like he was going, get on the gun. Can you still see him? Can you still see him? Make sure you can see him. And I'm sitting there like, I'm hungry. Where's my beef jerky? Where's it? And I vividly remember that, like eating snacks, drawing in the dirt. I remember drawing in the dirt.
And you're waiting for the buck to stand up.
Yeah, but I don't know what's going on.
Right.
Them two know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
And I'm drawing in the dirt, eating Jolly Ranchers, and my dad's literally yelling at me, make sure you can see him. Is the gun still on him? Because he had that gun benched up. I'm like, yes. Why are you yelling at me? Yes, I can still see him. Where's my Gatorade? Like, ask stupid questions. So my dad's trying to manage me. Well, a long time goes by. That buck was bedded for hours and hours. And I remember there was a truck that was going down the dirt road. Remember how I said when you hiked up, you could still see the truck below us? There was a truck going down, and the sun was beating on it. And the flash in the windshield and the dust trail behind it was like very visible in the valley floor. And I remember that buck kind of like almost got up to kind of look over the crest to see what was catching his eye down there. And my dad about jumped through his skin. Get on the gun, get on the gun, get on the gun. And he ended up not getting up, of course, but he was yelling at me, you got to make sure you can see him. You got to be faster than that. You got to make sure. So another, half hour goes by. The buck stands up, stretches, takes a piss. It's nothing to me. I don't think anything else. So I'm like slow getting on the gun. My dad's yelling at me. I shoot the deer, and he was quartered away looking. We were on top of him, and he was quartered away looking away.
How far do you think?
200 and some yards. I think it was 220 or 230. And he stood up looking away, and I shot him right through the top of his spine and just dropped him. And we go down to the buck, and my dad and Nick are ecstatic. Like I said, my dad isn't an overly excited guy. Yeah. And I still remember how excited my dad was, because I just don't see that out of him very often. And I still don't think much of it. I'm like, oh man, I just killed my first deer. Yeah. And they're like, you got to take more pictures. Take this, now turn them this way, turn them that way. I'm like, I don't remember doing this with any of your deer.
Right.
With my dad. And anyways, we get them butchered up. We go down. It's getting dark. We're coming off the mountain in the truck. Like, it was that long drive. So it was dark by the time we got back to Tonopah. When we pulled up. Do
you remember if you gutted him or quartered him?
They quartered him.
So you
because it was
quartered
up on top. Yeah, we had to.
Okay. Do you remember if they gutted it?
I don't remember if
Gutted
they
and
gutted
quartered it.
I'm sure they gutted it though.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive they gutted it. Everyone did.
Everybody did.
It was the first thing.
Yeah,
We got him down off the mountain, and I remember going to the gas station, and that's finally when it settled in. We pulled up Nick's truck to the gas station, and we were filling up. Day was over, but he needed fuel, and we were going back to the hotel, and it felt like the entire town showed up at the gas station
to look at this
taking
buck.
pictures, all this stuff, and then that's when it started to settle in. Like,
did you know it was a big buck?
I did not know it was a big buck at all.
At
had
all.
No clue it was a big deer.
You're just like, it's just
it was a deer.
Just
I
about
knew it was bigger than my brother's.
first buck.
So
I was curious because
I knew I was going to talk shit to my brother. That's really all I knew. It was bigger than his.
Right.
You know?
One thing I wanted to ask you, because it's just something I've been thinking about with my first buck. Like, do you remember how you felt like walking up to it? Were you excited? Were you kind of
beyond excited?
Okay.
I felt I had a real sense of accomplishment that I did it, you know, and I can see it in my son right now too. He wants to do things and know he can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a lot of my personality where it gets in my way a lot of the time, where like I get so in my head of I want to do it my own way and know that I am capable of it. Gets in my way at work, gets in my way with my family. I just get this thing in my head where I want to know I'm capable. And I remember having that overwhelming feeling of like, yeah, I did that. Like I shot one just like my dad does. Right. I just shot that buck. Like, this is mine, you know, like this is my deer.
I'm curious, like you as a parent now, I mean, your Turtle's still young.
Yeah.
You get another one on the way. And I think, you know, when Turtle gets old enough and he decides if he wants to go hunt and you take him out hunting, like, do you kind of understand that excitement that your dad probably felt at that point?
Oh, 100%.
Because as you're talking and you're telling me like how excited you are for your dad and like how, I don't know if the word is stressed, but he's
amped up.
I mean, at that moment,
it's
like
the biggest buck he had seen.
Well, that, and then just like your kid's first buck. And I don't know how to explain that other than like you want it so bad for your kid, worse than most animals I've ever shot on my own. You know, I wanted it so bad for my kid to be successful. So it's like, I don't know. That was one thing. Like as you were talking about your dad, and just like him telling you, like, get on the gun, and just so intense. I know this feeling.
I get it with my friends. Like Porter last year for his 40th birthday. Sure. I wanted him. I wanted it so bad for him to kill the biggest buck he had ever killed, and I get amped up like that. I get kind of out of character because I'm not in control, and I want it so bad for them because I've been so fortunate and lucky to kill like my very first year. To kill some big stuff. And it's just like, I want it so bad. I can't imagine when my son is the one. Like if I'm getting amped up over Porter, I mean, it's Chris Porter, you know, then I was still amped up.
Yeah, man. Your own kid, man, there's nothing like that feeling. You just want it so bad for him. And you want it to be like perfect. You want you want the animal to go down.
Yeah. And it did. And it did go down. I spined him, like hit through that top part and then down through the vitals. So he didn't go anywhere. It's a kill shot. Didn't have to follow up. Like it was awesome. It was genuinely perfect. And then, like I said, at the gas station, I realized it was different because I had been with my dad before and none of this was happening. And they were all telling me congratulations, wanted to take a picture of me with the deer.
That must have felt really cool as a kid.
As
a 12-year-old and you've got a big buck in the back of a truck and everybody in town shows up to, check out your buck. And you must have just been absolutely beaming.
It was awesome. And then going to the taxidermist talked about how big it was so we slept in Tonopah that night, went to the taxidermist the next morning, and he about shit a brick too. He's like, this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. I haven't seen a deer like this come out in quite a while.
No kidding.
Anyways, the deer, he's 204.
Oh.
So he's legitimately over 200 inches.
No way.
Very first deer I ever killed.
He's that big.
Yeah.
That's a giant.
Scored by the taxidermist.
That's crazy. And I'm sure at that point you had no idea. I mean, 200,
it took, I don't even really think I understood that I had shot a 200-inch deer until I was in my 20s, until I really started to understand what that was, what it meant, how hard it is, how few of them there are, Even in Nevada, for that matter, on a general, on just a youth tag.
At 12.
It was awesome.
Yeah, that's the magic mark for everybody, 200-inch buck. Yeah. That's crazy.
The very first deer I ever killed.
Well, mine was the opposite end of the spectrum. So mine was a 2-point, like legit, barely a 2-point. I was thinking about it today on the way down. I think I was 16, and I don't know. I think that might have been the legal hunting age. like as I was as I was coming up. And I know that they changed it.
16?
Yeah, I think at one point
way too late.
Either that or my dad just was like, nope, not ready. We're going to hold him off till he's 16. I think my parents, they put up with a lot when I was a kid, but I think I'd totaled 2 cars by the time I was 16. So
I would have held you off then too.
Yeah, I was 14 when I put the first car in the canal and totaled that. But so yeah, they were maybe at that point they were just like, we ought to hold this guy off till he's 16. He's not quite ready. Yeah, but I think I was 16 and. Same as you. I was playing sports. I went to a tiny high school, so we played fall baseball. Mm-hmm. So I would have been, I think, a sophomore, and I didn't have much time to hunt because I still had practice, every day of the week plus school going on. And then, the hunt was in October. What's funny? I was thinking about this too. Is like I remember when I was in high school, and maybe they still do it where I'm from, but they used to have a deer hunter's ball every year, and it was called the deer hunter's ball.
My dad and my uncle told me about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a high school dance, and then like a lot of people from town, and, all the little communities, they would come, and that was it. You got the Monday off of school actually, and it was I think now they call it fall break, but back then it was for the deer hunt. I mean, everybody kind of knew you got a day off for the deer hunt, and you had the deer hunter's ball, and they auctioned. You gave raffle tickets. You could buy raffle tickets to win a rifle.
Oh, that's awesome.
They gave it away at the dance. So at the deer hunter's ball back then.
When you hear those stories, it really shows you how far behind we've fallen.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, that wouldn't happen. I don't think, maybe it happens still. It might happen. Where I'm from, it might.
Yeah.
I'm from the sticks, so it may still happen. But I just thought it was a funny quirk because I was thinking about it on the way down. But yeah,
it's super funny, but it's sad for me. It's like, man, I would love my son to grow up like that. But
yeah, there's definitely some nostalgia and just some good sentiment wrapped around that. But so I remember we would go out in the evening. So I'd get home from baseball practice, maybe 4 o'clock or something like that. And then we would roll out and we would just throw on, like the shitty orange vest, like the road worker vest that had like the mesh net, the fluorescent orange. That's what we had for orange. And I remember at the time we didn't own a 4-wheel drive vehicle. So we had a 2-wheel drive Isuzu Pup. It was a single cab. Single cab.
Just the name of it is Isuzu Pup.
Yeah, it was the Isuzu Pup. Long bed, I think. So it was this little single cab white pickup truck, 2-wheel drive. So we were pretty limited as far as like where we could go. So we would just go out and cruise. And I remember we were just kind of hunting low country. And most of the time we didn't have time to hike anywhere. So we were just like kind of road hunting, And it was, the 90s. And I don't know if the deer herds were in great shape back then. They certainly didn't seem to be because we weren't seeing a lot of deer. And I remember we went out, probably 4 or 5 times and really hadn't seen much, seen some does. I think one trip prior to when I shot this buck, I think we'd seen a little 2-point, but just didn't work out. But I think this was like the last evening, and we'd gone out and made a loop and kind of looped back. We were coming back down the road, coming down Birch Creek there on the south end of the Beaver, and just rolling along. And I remember I would have been on, passenger side, and it was out my window. So I don't remember if I spotted it or not, but my dad looked up. I think my dad looked up and he was like, oh, there's some deer. So jumped out again. I think my dad had a pair of Nikon 8x32s.
Just a solid
those little 8x32s. I think he used those when he worked for the state park. He would, part of his job was to like kind of keep track of how many people were using the park and how many people are on the lake. And I remember as a kid, we'd ride up on the mountain and we'd sit out above the lake and he would look through his binos and just count the boats on the lake. So I think he had a pair of little 8x32 Nikons, and I think he looked through them and said, yeah, there's 2 bucks. And I remember these 2 bucks and they were kind of fighting. It's just
What time of year is it?
October. Yeah, October, end of October. So it was cold. I don't remember being like super cold. I don't think there was any snow on the ground. Yeah. That was another thing.
Not for me either. I mean, it's Nevada. It wasn't super cold and there wasn't snow on the ground, but it was enough to have a thicker jacket on for me.
I remember, that year there wasn't any snow. Every other year I remember hunting with my family and my dad, though. I remember there was almost always snow on the ground. It seemed like in October, but no snow on the ground. But he looks up, he sees these 2 points, and so I jump out. I got the gun, of course, right next to me. I jump out, and I remember I leaned up against the truck. So I got my back against the truck, and I'm leaning against the truck, and I just kind of shoulder it. And I'm looking at these 2 points, and they're kind of going at it. And I remember the one to the right, for some reason, I'm sure that they were the same size, just yearling bucks. They're both yearlings.
But the one on the right was way bigger.
Yeah, it looked bigger to me. So I picked it out and just shot it offhand, leaning, with my back against the truck. And I remember thinking like, oh man, that was a pretty far shot. But like looking back on it, it couldn't have been more than 80 yards. It's like right off the road. And I leaned back and I shot it, and I didn't know what happened because it just disappeared. I could see the 1-2 point, and there were some does kind of hanging out, and they kind of went bounding off over the ridge. And we went walking up there. And I remember kind of walking up through there, and my dad said, "Yeah, I think he got him. I think he dropped," but we didn't know for sure. But I remember walking up on it, and a 2 point's not a very big deer, but I remember walking up on it and just like, here's this dead animal, and like. Mm-hmm. I remember being excited. It kind of came later though, because I remember very distinctly, like my first feelings that I had was like, oh shit, I can't believe I just did that. Like I just killed that thing. Yeah. Like it was almost like this sense of, I don't know if it was sadness, but it was just like, I was almost in shock. Which reality. Is weird. Yeah. We're kind of reality. Like that thing was just standing here and I just shot it and killed it, Yeah. And we gutted it. I remember we gutted everything, which of course is 80 yards off the road, but we
might as well.
I remember, grabbing it by an antler and dragging it down the hill. We threw it in the back of the Isuzu pup and made it home. I do remember eating that buck, and like I remember thinking like, man, this is pretty cool. Like I shot this animal. We butchered it. We had an apple tree there where we were living. And I remember we hung it up, winched it up on this apple tree and hung it and skinned it out in the backyard. My dad always used to take, for whatever reason, I don't know if people do this anymore or not, but he used to take the hose and he would hose it down after we skinned it out. And then he would take a white sheet, and we always had, I don't know why white, but they were always white. But I don't know if there was like any, I don't know any. I have to ask him sometime. Yeah, I don't know why, but I don't know if we just had some old white sheets. But he would wrap that buck and kind of take some clothespins and pin it off just to keep any kind of flies or anything like that off of it. And we would let it hang there in the backyard, and then we would pull quarters off and process the next day or maybe a couple days later. But we'd let it hang for a couple days in a white sheet. But I remember seeing bucks, just like hanging from that old apple tree out back, just kind of hanging and.
See, that's a memory. That's so awesome to have that as a kid.
Yeah.
It's like very different from me. Like I'm living in the city, growing up in the city. Mm-hmm. And then obviously with it being big, it kind of like superseded all of what was to follow. You know what I mean? Like the whole eating it, butchering it, all that stuff. Because then everybody just wanted to see it and take pictures with it. You know what I mean? And then I don't have it in my backyard. It was like, I was super disconnected from it after, other than the horns itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I knew some... We had a couple people there in town that, did like wild game butchering. I remember as a kid, we always did it ourselves. We just pulled quarters, and I remember my dad kind of processing animals there in the kitchen on the counter. My mom had a white tile counter there in the kitchen, like a big island. And I remember butchering animals there and just kind of watching him cut and wrap. I think he probably did the butchering and I probably did some wrapping, but yeah, I remember eating it. I think kind of the excitement for me came later. It was like, I did this. I'm trying to think. I don't think I have any pictures of me with that deer that
really?
I can. Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh, that's horrible.
Not that I can think of. Yeah, I don't think so. I wonder if I don't even know where that buck is. I'd love to have it, but I remember it was a 270. So you said that. Hey, that's what it reminded me. Woodstock 270, black barrel, kind of a blued barrel. And I remember I think it was a Redfield scope, just an old scope. But
I don't remember which scope I had.
I bet my dad still has that gun.
Just one of them like real skinny tubes.
Yeah.
And then the objective was giant. You know what I mean? It just looked funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Good memories though. And it's funny how much has changed. That was one thing I was thinking about on the way down, just the technology and just the methodology of hunting and how much it's developed. And I mean, hunting's still hunting, but the tools of the trade have really changed.
Oh,
really changed over the years.
It's actually pretty incredible to look at just over like the last 5 years.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
This is incredible. I was thinking about is just I hear so many people say that hunting is, it isn't what it used to be. Mm-hmm. You hear like, the good old days of hunting, and I hear it a lot in regard to, herd health and populations and trophy potential even.
Yeah.
But I'm like, here we are, current day and age. We've all got great optics. We've got, bows with incredible, speed and sights and all that stuff. But like, there's great animals. All my best bucks have come from like the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So they're still out there and even better, I would say.
So I asked my dad that question a lot, actually, and I've asked him a lot over the last like I said, 5-6 years with everything changing. But I asked him, like, because he grew up hunting the Ponsongot, open tags with his uncle and cousins. And like I said, he looked back at those pictures of every year they would do it, and there was always one giant, like always one really good buck. And I would always ask him, like, man, hunting back then, 70s, 80s, like, you had to have seen so many big deer. It's crazy. Like, how different is it? And he swears it's better today than it was back then, for as far as the amount of big deer. He doesn't know if it's because of, trail cams and this and that and all the stuff, all the tools. But, he's killed a lot of big animals just because he's hunted for so long. He's 65, 66 years old. But he feels like he sees more big animals nowadays than he did back then.
Yeah. Be interesting to
actually to see if that's true.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if you had the ability to time travel. If you could go back in time and really hunt the way that you do now with the tools and the knowledge that you've got, like what would be available then?
Yeah.
And if maybe they just weren't there, maybe herds and objectives and the way that they were managing at that point, maybe it just didn't produce those kind of animals. I don't know.
Yeah. The populations were much higher, at least in Nevada. Like you look back in the 80s and 90s, the populations of deer were way higher. Maybe that that wasn't conducive for like what it's producing now, which are these just mega giants.
Yeah. More feet on the ground now.
Yeah.
Bucks get
bigger.
I don't
know. I've always asked him though, like to really think back on it.
Yeah.
And he swears he has a better chance at bigger animals now than he did back then.
So that leads into the next question. I want to hear about your biggest buck or biggest bull.
Biggest buck or biggest bull?
Yeah. Best buck, best bull. Either one.
So for me, I'm not saying this as a cop out or anything. Like I genuinely mean it. I prefer, like, instead of size, like I prefer most meaningful. Like those are the ones I think about. My most meaningful buck to date is the one I killed in Wyoming 3 years ago in the high country with Bo, Brady, and Randy. And and the reason
I just watched that
not
long ago.
The reason for that is that was my first like big sizable animal, elk or deer, out of the backcountry. Like real sizable.
How far in were you guys?
13.
Oh, you're a long way.
We brought llamas in.
Gotcha.
And the other reason too why I was most meaningful is Bo Beatty, him and I knew of each other. We had talked, and we were generally friends, right? Like just kind of on a high level. And Bo is one of the greatest guys on planet Earth, and he, it's no secret he's been struggling with the old bitch of a C word for a while, and he was like right in the middle of treatments. Then he's my age. He's got kids. Like, life is so goddamn unfair when you see that. You know what I mean?
He's right in the thick of treatments during this hunt, right?
I mean,
chemo,
the thick of it, like the absolute thick of it.
Gotcha.
And for me to be with him, and like, I don't know, he's wise beyond his years. He's I don't know. He's just one of those people you just get sucked into when they start talking, and he carries a lot of weight with what he says because he's been through some shit. He's created a life for himself with the llama business and everything he's doing. He's an entrepreneur to the fullest sense, making it out of a small town in Idaho and everything he's dealing with. So, anyways, from the start of that trailhead, just listening to him, his thoughts on life, and like, the amount of perspective I gained on that hunt, just even before hunting, just on the walk in, and sharing a wall tent with him in the backcountry, like the conversations we had. I mean, that was an incredible hunt for so many reasons outside of the hunt itself.
Sure.
And there was some big deer in the area. He had ran some summer some summer like camping trips. Like he part of his llama service, take people back there like on these big backcountry things and these families and stuff through the summer. And he had seen some big deer, so he kind of was like had a little bit of scouted it, and he saw one big 4-point, super tall, really good back, deep back forks. And he's like, man, I just hope we can find that one. So it was always kind of this thing like, man, at that one, like I want to find that one. And day 3 of the hunt, so he was on medication in the middle of chemo.
He's pretty sick.
Oh, he would
Like, dude, he's up there in the high country, and he's sick.
It's dizzy sick too. He'd get like vertigo.
Right.
He'd get so dizzy and tired. And to watch him fight through that to get back into the backcountry, this is what I mean by the amount of perspective I gained from him. I mean, just literally no excuse. And he never complained one time. Not a single time did he complain about something. He was just, he was real about it. Just like, hey, I need a second, like just give me a second on the way in. And we'd sit there for an hour and talk and eat, let him get his breath underneath him and be a little less dizzy because he never left him. But that third morning, my alarm went off and I'm getting ready and he's like laying in bed and he's white as a ghost. And he's like, hey, I can't do it this morning. You just go kill that buck. Like that, go kill that buck. He's going to show up.
Had you seen that buck?
No, I had not seen him. We'd hunted for 3 days. We really hadn't seen anything. Like we hadn't found the group of deer yet. Like we hadn't found them. I remember getting ready and I felt really bad for him because I wanted him to kill that buck. Like that was my hope for him. Like I said, the very first deer I ever killed was one that nobody should ever kill for their first buck. So, and he loves big deer. I really wanted him to kill it. And he's like, man, just go kill that buck. He's going to show up. He will show up. That buck's going to be in there. I'm like, okay. So I'm talking to him like, you sure you don't need me to stay? Like, do we need to? He's like, no, I'll make do. I just need to lay here this morning. I just need to take this morning off. So I'm like, okay. So get out of bed and make that. It's like an 1.5 hour hike back to this pocket. And Randy and I are up there and we finally see a group of deer, like a real bachelor group of deer, not a single or a double, like a real bachelor group. And I'm looking around in these alpine trees and then kind of on the high left side, this buck comes out and I'm looking through my spotter. They're 700, 800 yards at the time. And I see that back fork come out and I immediately, on film, I immediately told Randy, I said, that's Bo's buck. There's Bo's buck right there.
Right.
And Randy's like, where? So I get kind of set up. I'm like, he's like, you found it. I'm like, man, I want Bo here. It's on camera too. He's like, he wants you to kill it. He wants to see it. Like, hey, just kill this deer. I'm like, okay. So I get benched up, end up making a great shot. A first shot, I kind of get the windage, and luckily he came closer. And then second shot, I wish I made a better shot, but it is what it is, right? In the wind, coming off a huge top of a peak down through a saddle into where this deer is, and I hit him a little far back. Last rib, like definite kill shot. But a little far back, and he went into the trees and bedded. So I'd shot a couple times. And then just kind of watching him bedded in those trees, and I'm like, this deer is special. Like just straight typical, and it starts to set in because now I'm looking at him. I have a bullet in him, and I know it's at this point. No, I know it's lethal.
Head up.
I know it's lethal, but it's one of those ones where you just kind of watch him like doze and then pick it up, doze and then pick it up. And as he's doing that, I'm like, this deer is giant. Like this is incredible. Like this is as far back as I've ever been. And like I just shot a real animal, like back in the backcountry. And so I told Randy, I got a little ahead of myself. I told Randy, I'm like, man, I can't take it. I'm going to go down there and kill him. Yeah. Like I don't know if he's going to get up, and it's so steep too. I don't want him to roll or anything. And I genuinely wanted to put him out of his misery. Like I felt bad it was taking so long. I hit like last rib liver. So it was lethal. Just how much time lethal?
Yeah, you want to dispatch as quickly as possible. Yeah, there's a razor's edge there.
It really is
in making a call, and I've had this happen quite a bit when I'm hunting. It's like you've got either a bullet or an arrow into an animal, and you don't want to risk pushing that animal because you definitely do not want to lose it. So there's this like decision, this time frame where you're like, what is the best choice? Yeah. Do I move? Do I wait and let this animal hopefully dispatch on its own? But you also have this like overwhelming just desire, and your ethics are telling you like take care of this animal as quickly as possible.
I can't keep watching this. You know what I mean? Because I'm watching him and I'm watching him, but I can't keep watching the tongue hanging out and him lift his head up and go back down.
It's a hard decision to make.
And every time I'm like, okay, this one's it. Like he's gonna, and then 2 minutes later to lift his head back up, look around, and then put it back down. I'm like, I can't do this. And I told Randy, I'm like, the worst case scenario, I push him and he goes downhill because it was so steep. Sure. Like if he gets his legs underneath him, we might lose this deer. So I really got to sneak and be careful. And I had to come off this like bald this like rocky, bald face before I could get into some more alpine trees. And of course, I'm walking down. My bino harness flips open, and my binos go. I mean,
you didn't
tumbling.
You didn't have them tethered in.
Tumbling. No, I never do.
Oh, you got to tether them in.
I do now, but I never did. So I do now.
Neville used to never tether his in, and we would be like walking along, and you duck under a tree, and you've got your binos up, open, and it would drop out.
Yeah,
I'd be like, man, you got to have those tethered. One of these times they're gonna pop out. You're gonna be so focused on something else, you're just gonna walk off.
So
and
that
leave
happened.
Them.
I was so focused on something else.
Yeah,
and I wasn't paying attention, and I think my hand, because I was using trekking poles because my left knee is really bad, especially going downhill. And I'm pretty sure like it clipped that open side, just flipped it open, and my binos were
rolling,
gone forever, like literally gone forever, all the way down to the bottom. And I'm like stuck on the open hillside, and I'm looking at this deer, lifts his head up. And I'm like, holy shit. What do I do? And he finally put his head back down. His back legs were kicked out, so I knew it was like lethal. I just didn't know if he was going to get his legs underneath him. So anyways, I just kind of like shimmied over and took a bench rest, and then just put 3 more into his body just to get him done.
So he never got up.
But after that happened, he was on more alert. Like his head was up for longer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is all I got. Well, anyways, where that leads into the story is I shot a couple times, and then I shot 3 times to dispatch him, right? Well, Bo could hear, not very well,
all the shooting,
but he could hear. So he telling me afterwards, he's like, "What the hell is going on?
Yeah,
like this. What is going on? Are they in a gunfight? Like, what is going on?" So he, as sick as he is so like ate up with what's going on. Is the big buck? Like, why would you shoot that many times? Is it bad? What happened? And so he literally runs up the hill. And as I'm going in to like recover the deer, and he had made it all the way to the top. But when he made it and Randy told him like, hey, it's all good, dude, he like collapsed and Randy's like, don't worry about it. We'll go take care of the deer. We're going to bring him to you. So to bring that buck back up to him and for him to even get out of bed the way he felt that morning, because he was just that shows how, sick he is about hunting, just like all of us.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Yep. Like the treatments couldn't even put him down to not go see that deer. And he was so happy for me. And I couldn't help but like, man, if you were okay this morning, like this should be your deer, Yeah. And he was just so genuinely ecstatic that I killed it. And I was super grateful for, he took us into a spot that he had found through those summer scouting days or those summer like camping days. And like that, every time I look at that buck, he's 197 straight typical, 193 net. So he's a book typical.
193 inch typical 4-point.
B&C net book typical.
I've never hunted with Bo.
Out of the high country.
I know Randy loves hunting with Bo.
Oh, he's the best, man.
And, being around Randy, I've been around him enough to know that like I don't think I've ever been around Randy, and we've shared, like we've gone coos deer hunting and just shared a camp with Randy. Randy's always been super positive.
Oh, he's
easy going, easy to be around. And typically has that big smile on his face
the whole time.
Yeah. So I can imagine, and I hear the same things about Bo. That he's just
those 2 guys in that camp. Like I felt, I'm a pretty grateful person. Like I try to do my best to kind of collect and be grateful for things that are happening around me. I felt very ungrateful being around them too. And the amount of perspective they were giving me, I'm like, okay, I need to, like I need to calm down a little bit in my life, start looking at things a little differently with both of them. I mean, especially Bo, but with both of them. And it was such a good hunting camp. And then to top that whole thing off, for that to be the first of the 3 bucks we killed, and to have that buck in camp for us to look at and talk about and everyone be excited about, and then have 7 more days of hunting together and then kill another buck with Bo being sick. Like he didn't even think he was going to kill. He ends up killing a great buck, and then Randy kills a great buck on the last day. Like the way all those dominoes fell, every time I look at that buck on my wall, I'm like, holy shit, that was incredible.
Do you remember the name of the film? I can't remember what we called it. I don't either. We'll have to.
It was Randy's film, and I don't remember.
We'll have to drop a link in on YouTube if we put this up on YouTube.
Yeah.
But I've watched that a number of times. But the thing that I remember most is just like the scenery for one is incredible.
Oh, it was incredible.
So it's green. It's like early season. That would have been a September opener.
Yep.
So you got a September opener, and you get those visuals of those bucks, bachelor bucks on, that green,
I love the
idyllic alpine country, and then a wall tent. So you guys had a wall tent, and it looked like the
11 llamas.
It looked like the food was incredible.
I mean, I went with the llama guy. We had 11 llamas. We brought in, he brought in all kinds of stuff. And I was coming off of, our style backcountry, which is no frills, what I mean?
Living off your back.
I'm back there I could live back
dried
here.
Food.
Yeah, this is incredible.
Yeah, I remember the camp. It looked like it was incredible. It looked like the food was awesome. And then, like you're saying, you can't watch anything that he is a part of, or he and Randy both. It just seems like positivity oozes out of those guys. So
it was incredible. That entire hunt, I'm so lucky to have that on film too, just to have it forever. I have the buck, but then to have the film as well, it's incredible.
Yeah,
that's the most special animal.
Yeah, we talked. So when Brady and I were in Eugene, we did the podcast with Cam, and that was one thing that we got talking to. Cam asked us, he's like, "Hey, you guys do films? You do hunt films?" He was kind of asking us what the process is like for us and what it's like to be, a hunter on a filmed hunt. And we got to talking about he and Roy. And he said that he was kind of watching some old film. He's got a bunch of old film that he came with him when he moved away or worked away from Eastman's. But I was asking him because there's times when you're hunting and you got a camera guy and you're out on a hunt. It almost seems to, and this is just to me, there's times when I look at it depends on the camera guy, of course, and the entire experience and kind of how it transpires, but. There's been times where I've been like, man, this almost feels like it's bastardizing the feeling, if you will. There's this, it just feels a little bit different. It
feels different.
It feels different for sure. But one thing that he said, because obviously his storyline and what happened, to Roy and the way that kind of went, he was kind of telling us his perspective of being able to kind of look back at film. You have those memories. You've got him. You can hear his voice. You can see his face. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's something I don't often think about when in regard to film. And I don't know that I take it. I know for sure that I take it for granted. There are right now, if you go to YouTube, my kids, anybody that wanted to, that knows me, that loves me, could go and watch those and get a piece of something that I was really passionate about. The thing in my life, some things in my life that I absolutely love just as much as anything on this planet.
To see you in that moment.
To see me in my element, if you will. It's awesome. So it's a pretty cool thing.
I take it for granted too. There's two films though. The Window with my son, that first hunt with my son coming out of the hospital. And then this hunt, those are the two that I do not take it all for granted. The rest of them I will come across every so often. I'm like, oh man, this is cool to have this, you know. But those two are the ones where I'm like, I'm gonna hold on to those. Those are downloaded and saved on my computer, and will never leave.
Yeah, it is pretty cool to go back and look at those. And I look at after coming back, I kind of look at that whole process through a different lens, if you will. Yeah. I never really looked at so much as this memory that could potentially live on forever or something. Because I guess, tomorrow's never promised. You just never know.
100%.
It's pretty cool to think that there's some video out there that somebody could watch and reference and be like, oh, this is this guy and this is who he was and what he really loved. So
and this is how he did it.
This is how he did it. It's pretty cool.
What's your biggest or most special? Do you think about it as biggest, or you think about it as most special?
Yeah, I was thinking about it as you said that, because I asked you, what's your best buck or bull, and you kind of said I don't know if it's the best or the biggest, but it's the one that's the most meaningful, and I don't know that those are entirely mutually exclusive, if you will, because I think there's some common veins. I think whether you learn something about yourself or you learn something about, hunting with a partner and you gain some perspective in life, I think there's definitely that to be gained. And I would say for me, my biggest buck, it's my biggest buck, but it's also just a lesson to myself of stick-to-itiveness and just perseverance and how bad I wanted to achieve that. And then just the sense of accomplishment that I felt when it actually happened. But I killed a buck on just a general season tag in Utah. I think it was 2013. And I had just a general season tag. I had a buddy that had an elk tag in the same unit, and he and I kind of kept in touch. And I had an elk tag in that same unit 3 years prior. So I was kind of giving him some ideas on where I'd hunted and where I'd hung some trail cameras and what I'd seen. And I told him, I've got a deer tag. If you see any deer show up that spark your interest, let me know. And I remember I was standing in my kitchen one night. I got off work. I was working for the DWR at the time, and I was saving all my comp time, all my sick leave. I was telling my boss, I'm sick. So I'm going to be out the next 5 days, and then in September or whatever it is. But I remember I got home one night after work, and I remember I was standing in my kitchen, and my buddy Ryan called, and he's like, I can't remember if he called or sent a text, but I remember the opening line was like, does like a 39-inch deer with big cheaters, does that interest you? And I was like, yeah, I'm interested.
Yes.
So he's like, I was up in this drainage where he kind of had noted, that you'd hunted or looked for elk, because I had a bull that I had hunted in that same drainage. And then I actually killed a bull, that kind of leading into the story, but he's like, I saw this buck and he's got cheaters and it's really early, but he's like, this thing has got just a massive frame. Like he's going to be a big buck. Yeah. And he had some digiscope. It wasn't footage, but it was just like stills. And I remember he sent me the stills. And I almost want to say, I can't remember if I had a flip phone at the time or not. I might have, because I was a late adopter to the smartphone, but I remember seeing these photos and I remember thinking, yeah, that buck's definitely going to be something special. So I spent the rest of the summer. I would go out any free time that I had, weekends. I think I've told this before, but I used to leave my house, Friday night. I'd put my kids to bed and I'd leave and I would go and I'd hike all night. I'd be in there in the morning, like 2 a.m, and get up in the morning and try to hit my overlook and glass. And I just remember looking for this buck just incessantly throughout the summer, and I could just never find him. Couldn't put eyes on him, but you're living on that hope, like this animal's here. And so I had the dedicated hunter tag for the unit, which means you can hunt archery, muzzleloader, and rifle tag. You can kill 2 deer in 3 years. I can't remember what year. It was probably my first year on that program for that unit. But so I had all 3 hunts, and so kind of my plan was, I remember telling my wife, like, there's this buck, and this is probably not going to make sense to you, but like, this is a buck that I will never have the opportunity to hunt the likes of again in my lifetime. Like, this is a very special animal, right? So I'm moving in with him, basically. Like, I'm going. So, I remember second day.
What'd your wife say to that?
Yeah. She's like, okay.
She was cool with it?
Yeah. I mean, my
full support.
Yeah. I mean, I had an elk tag the very first year that she and I were married, and I think I hunted at one point like 14 days straight for this archery elk tag that I'd drawn. And I remember her saying to me then, like, this hunting thing for you is a different thing than it was for me growing up. Like, this is an entirely different thing. And yeah, she was just like, yeah, I get it.
That's a good woman.
Go ahead, knock yourself out. I think she likes it when I'm gone, if I'm honest. So yeah, I remember second day of the bow hunt, I had hiked over to a different vantage point to like glass into this pocket that I thought this buck might be holing up in. And I see these, I think there's 5 bucks, and they kind of come feeding out. And 2 bucks are like over 200. Like there's
2?
Yeah, there's 2 now.
Holy shit.
Yeah. This one's like a 6x4. I look at him, I'm trying to like figure out, I think he's probably like 215. And then this other buck. And I'm just like, oh, I can't believe this. Like I legit cannot believe this.
Holy shit.
Anyway,
on a general tag?
Yeah, general tag. So they kind of feed over this face into this backside, into this little pocket. I make a loop on them in the evening, and like it never works out. They never come out. But I hunted. I mean, that was just an interesting story. But I never saw either one of those bucks again, entire bow hunt. And I hunted pretty much the entire bow hunt. Like anytime I could get days off, I was trying to string, 4 or 5 days long weekends. Never could find them. Never could turn either one of them up. I don't know what the deal was that day. It was just like it was after a rainstorm. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember it rained a lot, like that entire hunt. In fact, there was a kid from Panguitch that I know. I remember after I killed this buck, I remember talking to him at the taxidermist, and he's like, I remember driving by your pickup truck parked down there at the trailhead and just absolute dumping, pouring rain, and just thinking like, that crazy bastard, like what is that guy doing? Like that truck is there every day, and it's been raining for 3 days straight. So like I was up there in the rain day in, day out.
What rain gear did you have?
I'm trying to remember. I had rain gear, but it wasn't.
13 could have been Sitka.
Yeah,
it
was probably Sitka.
Yeah,
I think
so good rain gear.
It was decent. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't like drenched, the whole time. I remember my sleeping bag getting, I slept in a wet sleeping bag a night or two.
Ooh.
I remember
that stuff's come a long ways.
Yeah, long ways.
Nowadays, rain gear and down
for
and all
sure.
that for wetness.
Yeah, I remember a 5-day stretch one time though, where I saw a forked horn 2-point and a doe and a fawn in 5 days, and that was it.
Really?
Yeah, 5 straight days on the bow hunt, but I couldn't turn that buck up, and then fast forward, bow hunt ends. I'm still pretty committed to the area, even though I can't find either of these bucks again. But opening day of the muzzleloader hunt is coming up. I decided I'm going to go in 2 days prior before the opener. I'm just going to spend 2 days trying to find this buck. And I go in 2 days straight, nothing. The day before the opener is just an absolute storm. Like wind's blowing 30 miles an hour, rain comes in, just gross.
Yeah.
Just pounds. And then the opening day, same thing. And I think that was like one of the first times in my life I remember I need to be like a little more selective about my camping because I'm in a burn. And I remember the night before the opener, I was sleeping at the base of this giant Doug fir, dead, completely dead. I mean, the thing's as, big around as my, my diameter that I can reach. It's huge, big old tree. And I remember laying there at night, like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I remember that thing, like looking straight up into it. And it's like moving like 10 feet at the top, it's just going back and forth. And I remember thinking, this probably isn't the best spot to camp, but that was like one of the first times I got to thinking I probably should be a little bit better about picking my camp spots in burns and high winds. But opening morning comes, wind's still kind of blowing. And like I said, it had been raining for a few days prior to it. Get up in the morning, hike up to a knob. I spend the morning glassing. I don't see anything. I see some elk. And I remember I hiked back down to where I'd camped, and I kind of sat there and ate lunch. And I just got to thinking, if there's going to be some bucks anywhere, they're going to be down the bottoms of these drainages, So they're going to be in the bottom. They got to be out of that wind. And so I hiked down into the bottom of the drainage and up on a little knoll, and I could look down 2 drainages, and I could basically see the bottoms. I couldn't see the whole bottom, but I could kind of see some, openings.
So just straight intuition led you to that?
Straight intuition.
With what you'd been gaining over glassing and all that stuff previously?
Yeah, I'm 17 days at this point. This is 17.
Okay, so you've collected a ton of data.
Yeah, ton of information. Even though I'm not seeing the animal that I'm after, I'm like collecting information. I'm where I'm seeing elk, kind of just the topography, weather, same thing.
So an intuition just kind of set in.
Yeah, intuition is, hey, deer, winds out of the south. If these deer are going to be in here, they're probably going to be in the bottoms. They're going to be maybe tucked away on a north-facing slope, out of the wind. Yep. So, and I'm also thinking, with this storm and this wind, just kind of what I know of deer, it's pretty high likelihood that maybe they probably haven't been the most active. They probably haven't had a chance to get up and feed because you got to think high winds, storm, a lot of noise. Their senses are kind of compromised, so they can't hear, they can't smell probably because the wind's swirling a lot. So I'm thinking this deer probably hasn't fed a lot. So if he's been nocturnal, maybe there's a chance he gets up this evening, So hike down there, set up on this knoll, and it's probably maybe 3 hours before sunset. So it's like 4 o'clock maybe a little early, 3 something. Anyway, so I'm sitting there and I'm looking up this drainage. I probably hadn't sitting there maybe 10 minutes. Just glassing, and I look down in the bottom, and there's this little seep, and I'd shot a bull elk off of that seep in 2010. Really? I'd shot this bull, like 330 bull, shot it off that exact spot. Like that bull came into wallow. I shot him at 42 yards, quartering away. He went over there and died. Like I'd shot that bull right there in that drainage in that little meadow, right? So I look down in that meadow and I see a 3-point, I see a doe, and the last buck, I don't even know what it was because I didn't have my scope on it, but like frame, I'm like giant. I didn't even get the scope out. I just threw everything in my backpack, grabbed my muzzle loader, and I just beeline it. And I dropped down through that drainage, up the other side, down in the next one, up onto the next little knoll. And as I come up the backside of this knoll that kind of overlooks this little meadow, I'm just creeping along, and I'm creeping through, and I'm thinking that those deer are going to be feeding in that little open meadow. And I'm just kind of creeping along, and I see them. I just get a glimpse, and they're kind of moving up into the trees. Like it's like regenerated, like dog hair aspen. Yeah. And I'm thinking, shit, I'm too late. I'm behind them. And I'm trying to figure
How
out.
far away are you from them going
At
up into that region?
this point, I'm about 150 yards.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty close.
Yeah.
So I got
But it is pushing it with the muzzleloader
yeah,
too.
Yeah. So I got the muzzleloader. I ditched my pack at that point, and I'm watching them kind of feed up into these aspen, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do now? Because if they get up into those aspen, I don't know how I'm going to turn them up because it's just thick,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to make my mind up of what to do, and I'm thinking of making a loop on them, and all of a sudden I look down, and here comes the 3-point, and he's feeding right back down through the meadow the exact same way he came. And I don't know why they turned, but they did. So he turned, he's coming back down, he's creeping along. Here comes the doe, and then here comes the buck, and it's the cheater buck. So I edge up, and I'm just sneaking up, and I've got a little bit of cover. I sneak up, and I get to where I'm 80 yards, just right above this wet meadow. So that buck comes feeding out.
You have good wind the whole time?
Good wind the whole time.
To worry about?
Yeah, wind's coming down the canyon, blowing from them to me. So I'm sitting there. I put the muzzleloader in the crook of a dead, burned off tree, and he walks out, and I just put it on him and touched it off 80 yards, and it was like your classic muzzleloader, just pounding.
Just smoke everywhere. Could you see anything, or
just pounded him? I couldn't. Really? Yeah, I couldn't see much. I mean, the gun goes off, and
heard it hit him.
Heard it hit him. There's unmistakable with the muzzleloader. It's just such a pop,
Yeah.
And looked down in the meadow, and it just essentially like folded him. So just legs up, the whole thing. He just folded right there in that meadow. And cool thing about it is he died within 8 feet of where I'd shot that bull elk in three years prior. So that's
really cool.
Pretty cool. And I knew
it's a great little meadow for you. You might need to go back there this year.
Right. But I thought I knew what that buck was, I was so excited. This is a little funny detail that I remember as I was thinking about it is I was so excited that I grabbed my backpack and I just took off running down there. And I hadn't zipped my backpack up, and I left shit all over that hillside. I went back and tried to find them. Some of it's probably still there, but I left clothes. I mean, it was just...
It's not a true big buck if you don't do that, though.
Yeah, it was just scattered across that hillside. But I think that's... I walked on that animal, and that's like one of those animals that... And I don't know how many you get in your life. Probably not many.
No.
But I remember walking on that and just being like, this is an unbelievable animal. But he's like 205. He's kind of a freak. He's got big floating main beams, and then he's got those two cheaters.
He's the coolest 205. I know obviously know the buck you're talking about. I didn't know the full story like that.
Yeah.
But it could have been either of those two big deer.
Could have been either. I knew when he walked out.
At 80, you knew which one it was.
80, I knew which one it was.
But when you bombed off, you didn't know.
I didn't know which one. I knew it was just a giant buck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been either. When he came out at 80, I was like, that's the cheater buck, and pounded him. But I just sat there. So I remember I'm getting emotional.
Yeah.
But I just,
as you should for that buck.
I just sat there. Yeah. I probably sat there for, I sat for 3 hours. I remember I had seen earlier in the day a couple other hunters up the drainage from him. I was just so paranoid about this buck. I stayed with him clear till dark. I called my buddy that had essentially given me the intel and, kind of put me in that area and had seen that buck. He came up and helped me out the next day, and we packed it out. But to me, that buck will always be special just for the patience, the persistence it took. And then it really did feel like a chess match with that buck. And I remember...
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
It sounds wild.
Yeah. And I remember, same as you, just that sense of satisfaction, the sense of accomplishment. I'd felt like, man, I did something. I really did something special. This is an animal that, it was worthy of the entire process, all the 17 days, all the long days of just sitting there by yourself and the process of trying to put it together. But it was fun, man. Special buck. And I've killed a lot of animals in my life. I've only ever mounted 3, and that one hangs over my desk. And so
it is such a badass buck too.
Yeah. Cool buck. That just, I'm excited. I talk about, this is why I wanted to do this podcast. Cause I think about these stories.
I'm deep in my thoughts.
Yeah. We swap stories, and I get excited to go hunting.
Me too.
I feel those same feelings that I had, which is just genuinely gets me so stoked to go out and go hunting.
And you have it. I
have a general season tag for the same unit.
Yeah, there we go. That's what I was getting at.
I better check the meadow, right?
You better go check that meadow.
Yeah, it's
better
one of
go
those,
check that.
It's one
metal.
of those areas that you just like. It's like you might not see that many deer. You might see 2 deer in 5 days, but then it's got some areas in that country that like it really could produce a giant buck because there's just so many little nooks and crannies. And
Yeah,
that's the part that I love. You know, I love that country. I love it for the fact that there aren't that many deer, but there are also not that many people.
Yeah.
You know, and there's definitely some country that you can get away from folks. And
in those 17 days, do you ever make it back to the truck or make it back to town or anything, or were you just straight out there 17 days?
I was hunting like 4 and 5 days at a time. So I'd bomb in there. I would take like a long weekend. So I'd hunt like a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you know, Tuesday if I could. And if I didn't see anything or, you know, needed to restock or go back to work, then I would run back over the hill and
Did
restock.
it just eat at you when you left?
Oh, it was the worst.
It had to have been the worst.
It was the worst. Yeah, it was the worst. I remember several nights like going home and, you know, just my sleeping bag just being completely soaked and just, you know, throwing it in the dryer and trying to dry that thing out. But I remember really long days on that hunt. Just
had to have been super long.
I mean, morning.
Time of year too. It's a lot of daylight.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was into September, early October during that muzzleloader hunt.
Quite a bit of daylight still.
Tons of daylight, just long days of just sitting there behind glass and just it really is. It's like a chess match. I remember sitting there on an overlook, just looking at the landscape and just trying to think my way through this process that like, where could this buck be?
Yeah.
You know, where
you knew he existed.
I knew
you
he
laid
existed.
eyes.
I knew he existed. It was just like, where in the hell could this thing be? And how can I kill him?
Do you think he was down in there the whole time you weren't seeing him?
I think he was probably mostly nocturnal is my feeling. And I mean, I don't think he ever, I'll bet you he didn't go more than a half a mile from that little drainage all summer, all September. I think a big buck like that, I think they have a fairly tight home range.
Yeah, I would agree.
And I think they just learn to utilize it in a way that they just don't get detected. And as you think about mule deer, I mean, they're more susceptible to predation from a lion than, you know, an elk is. And they're also much more selective in their diet. So it would make sense to me that you widen that home range, you just open yourself up to potentially coming across a predator. You know, you may not know where your food sources are exactly. So for me, I think a big mule deer, and of course it's different as you get into those later season hunts, but I think early season, you know, summertime through, you know, September, maybe the middle part of October, to me, it would just make sense that those big animals would just learn to utilize a small area really efficiently.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Is that what you think?
Yeah, I would agree. I would completely agree. Obviously, it depends on like, you know, state, region, just general topography. Like these, you know, you look at these desert Nevada bucks, their home ranges are absolutely gigantic, but it has to be. They don't, you know, like they don't really
just
have
for resources.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But those types of places like you're talking, yeah, I would completely agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Do you want to talk about one that got away? We should have started with the one that got away. The entire process, I'm thinking, man, I screwed that up.
Hey, we got people engaged at least.
But maybe the one that got away will just like, you know, lead you into your season.
So the one that got away for me is actually not my deer. I had a tag and Brady had a tag. This was my first like true just bomb into the deepest, darkest backcountry spot you could possibly find. It's in 2015. And we, you know, tons of e-scouting, all this stuff, try to pick the best place available or what we think would be the best place. Brady and I spent a ton of time going back and forth about this and that. Logistically had to get in there, all this stuff. And
no scouting?
No scouting, nothing. And I mean nothing, just straight e-scouting.
E-scouting and pick a spot on the map.
Yep. And I've always grown up with a phenomenal network. Like you know, growing up down here in the South and then close to Cedar City with all like.
I always think that's cheating currently.
It is.
Today's day and age, like you can DM anybody and I get them all the time and I've sent a lot of them.
But back then though, remember how hard it was? Like to
so
find
hard.
real networks.
Yeah.
And for me, my Nevada, Utah networks were, I mean, they were incredible.
Yeah.
Like all the Southern Utah guys I knew, the Nevada guys, Nick Perchetti and all his people in Western Nevada, Eastern Nevada, like it was so easy, just that network. But in Colorado, we had nothing. And, you know, I'd hunted, you know, those 1-2 day type things in Nevada, Utah, but I had never just straight bombed into the backcountry like that before. And it was the first hunt film we had ever made. So there's a lot of like,
that's right.
There was a lot of logistics, carrying a Goal Zero generator and, you know, not knowing, the cameraman not knowing what cameras to bring and batteries. It was just
the first time you film a hunt, there's a lot of unknowns.
And it was so not only that, it was my first true, like, sure. I hadn't even been on I had been on a sheep hunt up north. Is the only thing I had done before this. But like, you go on a sheep hunt up north, you have to go locals and the whole thing, and, you know, an outfit, all that stuff. So it takes some of that, you know, those logistics off of your plate, and you just have to be physically ready, right? I wasn't worried about being physically ready, but I'm like, okay, so we're carrying this generator, we're doing this, we're doing that. We found this spot that looks good. It's an absolute nightmare to get into. Hopefully there's something back there. Just a ton of unknown, just absolute unknown all the way through. Well, we take off from the trailhead. Takes us better part of a full day. Actually, it does take a full day. We got stuck in the truck in a early morning rainstorm, so we got a little bit of a late start, like 9:30, and we didn't get up to the top till dark. And we hit.
You're backpacking all day,
the whole day. Yeah. And I mean, that coming off of sheep hunting before, you don't necessarily do that because there's so much light. Sure. But, you know what I mean? It's kind of you manage it a little differently, and that was just a straight pull from 9:30 until dark, and then a lightning storm was coming in, and I think we're at 12,000 feet or something, at the very top.
But those early season high country lightning rainstorms,
they're different. Those things hit different. It's a little more nerve wracking than most.
I can think of one. It was probably one of the most unnerving situations I feel like I've ever been in. Yeah, being in a bivvy sack and just an absolute lightning storm. At 12,000 feet.
And then too, like we were talking about earlier, you know, I've been super fortunate every year of my hunting career since hunting with my dad till I started hunting at 12. It's just the opportunities I've had, the networks I had, the areas I was able to hunt at such a young age. I'd killed some really good animals. You know, that's none of my doing. It was all my dad's networking and areas and things. But Brady, I had a lot of, I don't want to say guilt, because I knew I was giving Brady a really good opportunity with this GOHUNT thing. But I had a lot of appreciation for him moving down and trusting.
Gratitude.
Yeah, gratitude, appreciation that he trusted what, you know, I wanted to do and me and Porter wanted to do with GOHUNT. And he was one of the first guys, and we moved him out of, you know, his dream spot, Montana, and had moved down to Vegas and, you know, sold him on this Western hunting mule deer thing.
That must be as an owner of a company, it must be its own thing to essentially have employees' livelihoods.
Oh, it's a real thing.
Yeah, I'm sure sure it's heavy.
The genuine trust too, like when somebody really does give you that, you have this, and you as well. I mean, you've trusted us for the last 7 years?
I think 7.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, right? You are putting your livelihood on my crazy.
Yeah, but
thoughts.
I don't think it's an entirely different perspective for you than it is for me. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I mean.
And especially because we didn't even really have
at that point it was just like, I didn't even 3 of you.
Yeah, and he was giving up his tenure in biology and doing something completely new, and so I had a lot of appreciation for him. And you know, we put this hunt together because we told him, you know, come work for us. We're a Western hunting business. You want to do this mule deer elk hunting thing? He hadn't really done much of it yet, and big mule deer, big elk, because he'd been doing the Montana stuff. And nothing against that. No one needs to jump down my throat about that one. It's just a little quality difference, you know? So anyways, I'm like, I really wanted it for him more so. I had a tag too, but I wanted it more so for him. And, that first night we get there like right at dark, and I'm glassing back into this big bowl, like this huge, like shale rock cliff down into this like alpine grass and trees. And, just an absolute giant, like all the way through. I had seen some big deer in my life by that time, by 2015, and it was by all means just a bona fide giant. You know, everything, frame, inline.
Sounds like you better stick to the high country.
Right? You've been doing fairly well in the high country. And then I did this thing called get married, and it's really put and have kids, and it's really put that down a little bit. But yeah, so we get back there and I see this just giant, bachelor group, bucks, lots of bucks, but this one bachelor group with like 3 or 4 what I would consider shooters, with the one being just an absolute bona fide giant. And like immediate excitement. And we still need to make another pull to get into where we can actually logistically hunt them. So the next morning we wake up, pull camp, head into like this middle finger ridge that kind of put us directly in the middle of where we were glassing from that night previous, and where we saw that buck, it put us just right in the middle. So logistically put us in a really good spot to bed them, learn them, kind of figure out how to hunt them. And so we pull up there midday, like dead center of the day, and set up camp, kind of get to this little glassing point where we could look off this roller down into the bottom of that basin, and then back up to that alpine, shale rock area where we had first seen him. And Brady picks this buck up, and I'm not kidding, within less than a minute, maybe. And they're just in the bottom feeding.
That's the best.
And I look at Brady, I'm like, bro, it is 1, 2 in the afternoon, and this thing's just here. So then we're talking like, what do we do?
There's a lesson in that.
There is a lesson in that. Don't ever,
midday.
Don't ever think they're bedded.
I mean, just when you're out there, I think about this a lot, and I think about it mostly when I'm sitting behind my desk.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to be behind my desk 300 and some days a year.
Yep.
You might get 10 days to hunt. I mean, be on the hunt.
You're already there. What else are you
there.
Do?
Be on the hunt.
Brady and I decided. We set up camp, but we were jonesing because there was a pocket of some really good bucks and the one just giant. So, what were we going to do? Lay there and make some food? Like, hell no. We were going to go go look at the bottom that we couldn't see. And we wanted to understand that bottom to try to figure out logistically to hunt it. If they, if we're going to come from the bottom, go circle around on top, whatever it was. Well, we look in the bottom and there's just these rolling like rock benches, just absolute, perfect, like out of a movie style, what deer would like in the bottom of a basin. And there they are feeding down these little rock chutes. And Brady and I both were sitting there talking like, Brady bombed down. And we're like, no, it's day 1. Like, let's learn him. We're the only ones back here. Let's see what he's doing. They end up going from what would be the north, it kind of ran east-west, and it went from the north side of it to the south side, embedded in these alpine trees. And we're like, okay, so they obviously use this and kind of they come out that night, go right back down through the bottom. Next morning we wake up and they're back at the top, right at that base of the shale and grass, like right where those two meet. And they were in a really good spot. So Brady, we were talking, and Brady decided to go after him. And this is day 2 or 3. I can't remember it being so long ago. It was either day 2 or 3. And so he went after him, and we decided, because where they were at the very top, and they weren't coming down that day, that they were going to bed. There was a little pocket of alpine trees, right, like where the shale rock came down and kind of off this cliffy stuff and met the grass. Just 50 yards to what would be the north of that was these alpine trees, and they were all kind of pawing beds out and looking like they were going to go right there. So Brady took off, and I have never seen someone hike so fast.
Brady's got
so much vertical.
He's got long legs. I was walking in the airport with him last week, and
the guy just flies.
He can just flat cover way more ground.
Crazy. So I'm sitting back with the video guy, and I'm watching the deer because I don't want to lose them. And Brady. Next thing I know, Brady's at the top.
He's there.
Like literally at the top. And now he's starting to circle around. And every time he would poke his head out, I'd kind of give him little signals and all this stuff. And he made it clear on the backside, came around. And at that time, the big buck of the 4 had kind of moved out and got into the shade of that shale rock in the grass and was feeding. And he was feeding right at the line of it. So I was telling Brady to get as close, waving him over to get him as close to that notch where the grass and the cliff met. And as luck would have it, that buck started feeding back towards Brady, just staying in the shade the whole time, didn't want to touch the sun.
Yep.
And then right when he got to the end, he started kind of banking down towards those alpine trees where the rest of the bucks were bedded, and gave a quartering away shot.
You're watching the whole thing.
I'm watching the whole thing.
You can see the buck and Brady.
Oh yeah, I have. It's all on film. I mean, if this one's into thin air is video. It's the first one
Isn't
we
that
made.
so unnerving? I've had that experience several times where you can see the animal and you're like, and you see your hunter and you're going back and forth between the hunter and the animal, and you're kind of watching the two of them, and then they're coming together, and like pretty soon you can see them both in the same image in your spotting scope, and at that point, just the nerves are just firing.
I couldn't sit still.
Yeah,
and I like had to keep my eye on the scope. You know, I'm on visual duty. He's on kill duty. And so, you know, and I'm trying to digiscope for the film guy because, again, it was our first one, so we didn't know equipment to have, all this stuff. So I'm digiscoping, trying to look, all this stuff. Well, I see it starting to happen, and I see Brady draw, and that buck at that time had peeled to go down towards the alpine trees. And not knowing exactly what was happening, I see Brady break off an arrow, and the buck, like, donkey kicks and runs just straight down, and I'm looking at him through my spotter. He's got the tongue hanging out, and I see the splotch on his side, entry side though, and he never showed me exit side. I only saw entry side.
So you know he's hit.
He was hit, 100% hit. It's clear as day in the video. He's 100% hit. And Brady kind of packs his things up. Again, you guy covers so much country. Now he's got to go downhill. It felt like he was back to me in 10 minutes.
So he just came back to you.
Just came right back to me.
Gotcha.
And he's like, "What's the word?" And I said, "I watched that buck go all the way down, and I lost him in that pocket of trees right there." And like, we're just looking down maybe 200-300 yards. Like, I lost him right there. If he came out, I would have seen him. He could have came out, and when I started like lifting my head up, but he didn't. When I was watching him, he did not come out, and I left my eye on that pocket of trees for 10, 20, till you got back.
Yeah.
Basically, this is the first time I've lifted my head out. I said, "So tell me what happened with you." It's like, "Well, I ranged him, but he started to peel off towards those trees, so he got a little deeper than what my range was, so I kind of had to guess." And he said when he was peeling off towards those trees, he actually like canted his body a little more than like what he was thinking when he was first going to pull the shot. So he held back, but he doesn't know how far back he hit, and it was quartered away, right? So he didn't know. He was just trying to like sneak an arrow in. That was his shot. And I will take the full responsibility here, because by this time in my hunting career, I had hit 2 bucks far back. One of them being a big deer on the open side in Utah, was coming across from the Penobscot. That's where I grew up hunting, was on the open side, coming across the Penobscot when I was a kid, going through high school and college and all that. And I had hit a buck really far back. And my Uncle Heath told me, "Don't ever bump a buck that's been hit back. Don't ever bump it.
Buck, let him go."
And if you have any thoughts that it's hit far back, do not go after it.
The other thing is, you're talking that just a little tip like popped into my head. I think we talk often about picking a spot on an animal, especially when you're bow hunting, you know, picking a tuft of hair or spot of sunlight or something like that. I think it's even, you got to be that much more aware when that animal's quartering away from you, and your spot necessarily isn't you're looking for that opposite front leg.
Yeah.
So you're aiming for opposite front leg is like your true north, if you will, as far as picking a spot.
And I feel bad telling the story without Brady here, because I would get his like in the moment reaction too. But it was 100% was on me, and I told Brady wanted to go look, and I'm like, "Dude, I recovered 2 bucks not going after him, and I've lost one, which was my cousin that hit it when I was in high school, hit one far back, and we went after it immediately." And that's when my uncle started telling us, don't ever.
Yeah, and I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think it's sound advice. It still holds true
today. I was so certain in my mind, like, "Brady, we're not going."
Yeah, gut shot buck, you wait.
Yeah, and Brady's like, "I don't think it was that bad of a gut shot. Like, not true, maybe liver, all this." I'm like, "Man, okay, well, 2 years ago I shot mine in the liver, and it had like just died the next morning when I got on it. If I would have pushed it, I would have never found him." And I had that in my mind. That big buck I killed coming off Penobscot to the open side, and we found that deer 100 yards from where I last saw him. That's what that was what was in my mind. But as luck would have it, of course, a massive rainstorm rolls in. Like, massive rainstorm, and that's all in the film, obviously. And I started getting really nervous that night. I'm like, "Oh shit, here we go!" Like,
oh, it's awful.
You know, like, I knew he was bleeding. How much? Who knows? But like, it just kind of puts another thing in your head of like, okay, it's going to change the landscape.
Just makes it that much harder.
Yeah. We wake up the next morning, and I was honestly, I was extremely confident we were going to go find this buck, and we start going down into that last piece. I lost him. Found a bed. You know, I'm not
find blood.
No blood because of the water.
Yeah.
Like everything was just so soaked. But man, it smelled. It smelled like a sick deer. You know what I mean? Like it smelled like a deer.
Good shot.
And it smelled like a sick deer.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, you know, I'm not.
Did you ever find the arrow?
No, never found the arrow. Brady looked for it that day before the rain, before he had gotten to me. He kind of just peeled off right through where that buck ran, and he kind of took the same path to me before he got too close to it and pulled off to me, and never found it. And then we never found it in there either. But we're looking, and now I'm starting to like, okay, what the hell's going on?
This is the worst feeling.
And I sat down, and next thing I know, a bear comes through.
Oh,
and
no.
I didn't have a bear tag. So a bear comes
Big
walking.
bear?
No.
Just a bear.
Just,
Yeah.
I would have shot it, but not one you would think would just absolutely tear up a wounded deer.
And then that messes with you.
Yeah. So then I'm like,
you're like, why is that bear
shit.
here?
And then I didn't have a bear tag either.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of pissed off about that. I really hadn't lost hope yet. Well, then Brady just starts covering ground. I start covering ground. We can't find anything. We just keep coming back to this bed. And I'm not a professional hunter by any means. I had been on a couple deer, but like not a ton to know is that truly a sick deer bed, or what is that we're smelling?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Now all I could think of is it has to be him, because this is right on the line he was in. None of these other deer are down in here. Like we're down in here last night. Like we watched them go back up and over the other side. Like it made sense that would be him.
You got up that morning and glassed?
A little bit, yeah.
And then did you see any other deer?
Like at the very top, they went over the side, and then we found another like really cool 3-point that was kind of like up on this other side, but deer down on the bottom.
But not that buck?
No, nothing.
Yeah.
And went down in there, and we spent, holy shit, we spent 4 or 5 days and just could not turn anything up. It's like the deer never existed, literally, like it never existed. We even went all the way clear down into the willows and the ponds, like the moose ponds down on the bottom, and nothing. I don't know. We're kind of grasping at straws at that point when you're whacking through willows trying to find a dead deer, just to smell anything, and pulled back up. Never found it.
Any ideas on where do you think it was truly a back hit? Do you think he was hit back?
I wasn't there, and the buck never showed me the exit side.
Yeah.
I don't know. He had his tongue hanging out, and he had a splotch on. I don't know how quartered he was because I wasn't there.
Sure.
It looks in the film fairly quartered, but that's.
But it wasn't.
It all changes.
It wasn't like
direction.
leg, neck.
No, definitely not leg.
Okay.
Because the splotch I saw on entry side
definitely body
was back, but then he was telling me how quartered he was. And I'm like, oh, makes sense, yeah. And it's just one of those things where like it feels like that deer never existed ever. Like it was just gone. It was gone forever.
Into thin air.
Into thin air.
Which
exactly.
Is why we
call it that. And Brady does so much. Like he talks about it a lot. And I'd tell him this to his face. Like he talks about it a lot, almost like a broken record, how hard he works for animals.
Yeah.
I'm telling you though, like the amount of work he did to try to find this deer in the moment and then post the hunt, reaching out to people, outfitters and horsemen. And if you're in this canyon, you know how hard it is for Brady to give a spot up too.
Yep.
Like if anybody finds this buck, please, like, here's a bounty for it. Please let me know. Nothing. Nothing ever came of it. He had 4 or 5 guys reach out to him like, oh yeah, for sure. I'll go look for you. Like, yep, I do this in that country. I'll go look. I do that, whatever. And nothing. Like literally, like that deer never existed. The only thing that exists from that deer is video and pictures.
Yeah.
That's it. And I wanted that so bad for Brady. His first hunt with GOHUNT, coming down to Vegas to shoot a true like north of 200-inch deer in the high country.
If you talk to Brady, you can tell that one it's pretty heavy on him even still. Like he still thinks about that buck a lot.
I think
like there were some. I don't know. It's hard. You can't really project onto other people, but like just talking to him and then the exchanges I've had, the times that we've talked about it, like it legitimately like messed with his head. And there's probably some residuals from that. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah. My
That's
personal
crazy.
one though, I had a tag on the Ponscot when I was a youth and just a shitty hunter. I had a big buck get away from me because I was just shooting like shit. I missed him a couple times and just got away and never could find him again. Mine's a simple like one, but that one with Brady, even though it wasn't my buck, like that is the one that
got away.
One that got away.
God,
My Ponce buck when I was a when I was a youth. It was a big deer. It was a really big deer. And like when I was 12, when I shot my very first buck, I think you don't think about things, like you just execute the shot.
Yep.
And I was 18 on the ponce, and it's just like I just was overthinking. I knew what a big deer was then. I knew
you were in your head.
I was in my head in a huge way, because then I ended up shooting like a 170 buck on the last day and just crushed him 400 or 500 yards. Like wasn't even, because
didn't matter as much.
It wasn't big. It wasn't
That's a very real thing. Like if you find an animal, you put a lot of time and effort into it. It almost becomes a whole separate thing.
Yeah.
When you do get close to that animal, it's heightened. Your sense. You build it up in your head way more than any other animal.
Way over heightened.
Yeah. Yeah, as I was thinking about it, I don't know. We probably wrap up here in a sec, but
no, we need to know the one that got away from you.
Oh, gotcha. Man, I've missed a few. I missed a bull in Arizona a couple of years on a late hunt, which is a really hard hunt. It was on my own. I'd been out there, maybe 10 days, and hadn't really been close to a bull. Didn't really have a chance. I finally put this bull to bed. He was a 6x7, probably like a 310 kind of bull. Nice bull, good 6. That had been 6x7 that I'd been really pumped to have, and I played him perfectly. Bedded on this little knoll, and he fed up this little drainage, came right to me. And I executed a great shot. I just made an error in range, and I executed probably one of the best shots I've ever executed.
What happened with the range? Ranging something behind him or in front of him?
No, so I think what had happened is I'd been sitting there in the sun, and I finally kind of inched my way up and over and kind of beside this big juniper in the shade. And I think what happened is my rangefinder, it's a Leica rangefinder, so it's got the angle compensation, but you have to wait just like a split second after it gives you the true range to give you the compensator, and it was a downhill shot. I think I shot him for 65 yards, and I think it was a pretty steep cut. So he was probably closer to like 56, something like that. So I just skimmed the top, gave him a haircut right across the top of his back. But I missed that bull. I remember hiking to the top of the hill that night and just like sitting there and just like so disgusted with myself. I was pretty beat up that I just worked my ass off to get one opportunity. And that's the thing with the bow. I mean, same thing. You're talking you and Brady. Thing with the bow and arrow, you might hunt 10 days and have one chance, and that might be it. And if you can't execute in that moment, it's pretty disheartening, like kind of gut you. But I don't know. There was one antelope hunt. I had a New Mexico antelope tag, and I had this buck called Waldo that I liked. He was probably
Where's Waldo?
Where's Waldo? That's it. Because every day I was like, where can I find this buck Waldo?
Yeah.
And he had 14 does.
Ooh.
And I hunted him.
Living right.
Yeah.
Stud.
Yeah, he had all the does. But I hunted him the entire hunt every day. And every morning it was like, all right, where's Waldo? We got to find Waldo. I had my dad with me. But I don't remember how many stocks I put on Waldo. It had to have been 15.
That's why I love antelope.
Yeah. It had to have been 15 stocks on Waldo. And 3 different times I was within 60 yards of that buck. And all 3 times he or his does busted me trying to draw my bow. And I wanted that buck really bad because he was just so heavy.
Yeah.
And I love antelope.
It's the best.
I've gotten to just...
That's why I love antelope. You can put that many stalks on one.
Yeah, Lorenzo's antelope wall. If you guys are ever... if you come to the showroom here, you should... No, I won't throw that out there. I was going to say people should make a special request to see your antelope
I'm
wall.
all for it.
Lorenzo's antelope wall is something to behold, so check that out. But yeah, I couldn't kill Waldo. All 3 times I got busted trying to draw on that buck. It was so frustrating because like I could get within range. I'm like 55 yards. One time I was 42 yards. One time I was like 63 yards. All 3 times, either on my belly or flat on my back, because it's just prairie country. And just so many eyes, antelope, they just pick up every tiny bit of movement, It was just so frustrating to be that close. And again, it goes back to that thing, like when you build it up in your head, like this is the animal that I really want.
Yeah.
I've driven all this way, I put all this time and effort, like I really want this animal. And then to not be able to even like get to full draw and execute a shot, it was rough. But you learn about yourself.
Yeah. I got one like that in New Mexico as well.
Antelope?
But a little different. That's why it's not necessarily the one, the one that got away, like that Ponce buck for me, because I still have. He was all palmated. Called him. He looked like a moose buck. So that one eats at me because I could have that one. I mean, I had him in my scope. I was being an idiot, overconfident, overthinking. All that shit. But in New Mexico, 2-3 years ago with Clay Hill. I always try to do a hunt with Clay outside of his guiding.
Yeah.
So him and I can actually hunt together, whether it be New Mexico or Mexico. It's kind of the front end or back end of his seasons. And so we went to New Mexico, and we're hunting, seeing a lot of good bucks. Nothing great. I ended up killing a decent buck anyways, but good bucks, high 70s, but nothing crazy. Well, there was a buck on the private that would hang right on the fence line to the open where we were, and I hunted that buck every single day. I wasn't even thinking about shooting some, because I told Clay, I'm like, man, that's it for me.
Him.
Like that's him. And he's gonna. They're rutting.
God, there's
like
so many of them.
And
like
he
that.
never had does. He never had does. And I'm like, that's him. We hunted for this 5-day hunt, and I'm like, this is literally first scouting night before the first day. We find this buck. I'm like, he has no does with him. Tons of does on our side. None. I couldn't find any does on the private, and he was just kind of hanging out at the base of this pinnacle, this kind of knoll, pinnacle knoll, but at the very bottom, and right on the fence line. And for 5 straight days, I would watch that buck at morning, noon, and night. Never was interested in does. Never crossed the fence. I even got to a point where I made a call to the ranch, to the private, tried to find the private, and he's like. I'm like, hey man, I could probably, what do you charge for antelope? I could probably afford, an antelope hunt to go kill that. I don't see any hunters. You have this giant buck. He's like, oh, the guy who has this place swings a pretty heavy bat. And I'm like, well, that's not good. He's like, yeah, I don't
cross that one.
I don't
off the
think
list.
so. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, so there's just no option. You don't even have hunters here. The hunt's over in 4 days, 3 days, 2 days. Called them every day. And he's like, no, these guys don't.
So he would just never cross.
And he just, and I'm
Never
not
did.
kidding. I have so much video of this buck, and he is on the fence. On the fence, looking at does, looking at the other bucks, and just never crossed.
Yeah.
Morning, noon, and night. Watched him every day.
So I was thinking about this on the way down.
And that buck, I really wanted. Really wanted.
Yeah. I was thinking about just a giant typical 4-point that I hunted. Again.
Yeah.
Never could. I remember one day, I would hit this glassing knoll, couldn't find that buck, couldn't find him, just day after day after day, couldn't find him.
Yeah.
The one day I remember I rolled back off my overlook, and I'm kind of hoofing it back over, and I run into these 2 guys, and the guy's like, hey, I got a flat on my ATV, and he's like, we don't have anything to fix it. Is there any way you could give us a ride down to the highway? And I was like, sure. Yeah, I can do that. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm hunting deer. And he's like, oh, you see anything? And he's like, dude, I saw a giant this morning. And I was like, you did?
Oh, really?
I'm like, you did? Where? And he's like kind of showing me. And he's like, oh, I got some digiscope of him. And he pulls it out, and it's that buck. I'd looked for days and days and days of that buck. And just for whatever reason, that day, 8:30 in the morning, that kid picked him up just over the drainage from me.
Oh, man.
So it's just that's the thing that keeps you going, though.
It is. I totally agree.
Yeah. And as I was thinking about this, there's a lot of those. There's a lot of those bucks that are just saw once, couldn't find them, couldn't turn them up.
Yeah, I have plenty of those, but I didn't necessarily have a chance where they got away.
Sure.
Truly looked at them, video and the whole deal.
Yep. Yeah, but man, that's the thing that keeps you going.
It really is.
Well, we're almost there.
Man, we're close. I should have been hunting.
Yeah, tell me. You're supposed to be hunting sheep.
Yeah, just
right now,
I've had a lot of people reach out, which grateful for and appreciate it. A lot of people listen to the podcast, kind of reaching out and trying to figure out what was going on. So I'll make a really long story short, since it's been nothing but stories today, and I'm definitely guilty of telling behind the scenes extra cut stories.
Yeah.
I get made fun of all the time by my wife, and every one of my stories are crazy. But anyways, I was feeling really sick.
This is 3 days before you're supposed to leave, right?
4 days.
4 days.
Actually, so I would have left. So I was feeling really sick on Sunday, and I was supposed to leave Saturday.
Yeah.
So this is, that 6th day. And, I felt flu symptoms, but it was different, I don't know how to explain it. I felt like I had the flu. I had
nauseous? You puking?
No, I don't puke.
Oh, you don't?
You ever seen what's that basketball movie where, with Will Ferrell? The Tropics.
Yeah.
What's that movie? When he said he doesn't puke, and he got in the coach goes, "You ever been punched in the did you know?"
It's not Tropic Thunder.
He plays for the Tropics, though.
God, it'll come to me. Anyway.
Look it up on the computer. He plays for the Tropics. So anyways, like
with the grizzly bear. And
it's a running joke. It's a running joke and semi-pro. It's a running joke in my family. What's his name? What's the character's name in that?
Jackie Moon.
Jackie Moon. Like they call me Jackie Moon because I don't puke. And I can't remember the last time. And but I had a stomach ache, like flu style stomach ache, coming out the other end, but not terrible, not like a stomach bug flu or something like that, right? I figured maybe I had a little bit of food poisoning over the weekend because I just had some really weird cramps in my stomach.
Yeah.
This is Sunday, and I couldn't really eat, which is not like me. I mean, it's kind of a known thing how much I eat around the office and how often I eat, and I couldn't eat, couldn't drink, nothing. And this was Sunday, and then Monday, I come into work. I woke up to go to the gym that morning, and that's when I posted on Instagram, like, man, I can't remember the last time I felt this shitty in the morning, like to go into the gym. I couldn't even finish my workout, which is not like me because I'm a fucking meathead.
You're feeling bad.
Yeah, and I'll injure myself when I should have just listened to myself. Like that's my mentality,
Right.
and it's just I'm a dumbass meathead, and that's kind of what I've done in the past. But I literally couldn't even move. I'm like halfway through the squat. We had legs that day, me and my two brother-in-laws. And I got halfway through it, and I'm like, this feels like 1,000,000 pounds. Like I can't even lift it. I can't move. Like I just feel so shitty. So I halfway through the workout, I mean, I got a sweat going. So sometimes you get the flu, you think you just get a sweat going, push it out, 24-hour bug or whatever. And so I went over and laid on the mat, and I ended up falling asleep, which is also not like me at all. So it kind of woke me up like, hey, man, we're done. You all right? I'm like, fuck, that was weird. Yeah. Like, this is weird for me to fall asleep after I'm already up,
Yeah.
So I go over to my house, and I get ready for work, and I'm feeling pretty shitty. And I come into work. Porter walks into my office and is like, dude, you look like shit. I'm like, well, I feel like shit, so you might want to stay away. I had a lunch meeting to go to.
Porter's pretty adamant about that.
Yeah.
He was the only He's like,
stay
around
away from me.
Yeah,
I'm
get
like,
away from me.
I'm telling you how I look. How you say I just look, that's how I feel, just so you know. So I went to a lunch meeting, couldn't eat. It's kind of like had some cold sweats. Ended up going home. I started to run 103 fever, like 103.5 fever, getting crazy chills, like ground shaking chills. Ugh. All through the night. That night I was trying to sleep, woke my wife up with chills, and then I told her like 4 a.m. I said, you got to go heat the shower up. Like I cannot stop shaking.
Yeah.
Like you got to go get the shower as hot as it can go and heat it up. So I went in there like a sauna and tried to warm back up. Warmed up, got out, same thing, got crazy chills again, 103 fever. Called an IV guy, because in Vegas, you can call those to your door IV guys. I figured I was so dehydrated at this time. So he came over, he's like, man, your symptoms are pretty violent. Like if this doesn't work, you promise me you're going to the hospital. You're not going to call us back. I'm like, I mean, I got to go sheep hunting. I got work. He goes, I'm telling you, if you tell me you're not going to the hospital, I'm not doing this. I'm like, all right, fine. So he gives me this huge shot of IV monoclonal antibodies and Myers cocktails and all the B vitamins to try to flush everything out. Some stomach, some like nausea medicine, all kinds of stuff. In 20 minutes, I felt like decent. I wouldn't even say good, but like decent.
Better.
And then it came right back 20 minutes later. Like I'm cold, hot, sweaty, fever, the whole thing. I'm like, all right. I was so sick, I couldn't drive. Like I couldn't look up. I was like real hunched over and I couldn't look up. I got a really bad headache. So I told my mother-in-law, I'm like, hey, can you drive me to the hospital? She said, yeah, no problem. Drives me to the hospital.
It's a hard call to make as a dude.
Yeah, it is.
I haven't been to the hospital in ages.
It's really tough. And what was motivating me though was I was leaving for a sheep hunt. This is now Tuesday, so now in 4 days I'm leaving for a sheep hunt.
If you're not leaving for a sheep hunt, you ride that out for another week probably.
I have a very good contact at she runs the hospital. She's CEO of the hospital, so I can text her and like get some favors. You know what I mean? So I told her, I'm like, hey, I'm coming in. Like, I just need some intravenous drugs, run some tests on me. Like, I have to know what's going on because I leave in 4 days. I got to shoot my bow, like running through all this stuff, right? And that's all that's on my head is like, I don't want to lose.
I don't want to
go into this hunt weak. I got to get better. So just, hook me up. She's like, all right, come in. I'll get you in the ER and we'll flush you out and all this stuff. So the doctor comes in and looks at me. Yeah, I've had 2 other people come in, really shitty symptoms, yada, yada, whatever. I wasn't feeling any better, though, when they gave me the intravenous drugs, nothing. And the doctor kept pushing on my stomach. And he's like, does that hurt? I said, yeah. I mean, doesn't feel good, but it's not like sending me, and I'm kind of getting frustrated at this point because I feel like you feel like they're not listening to you. Like, hey, I'm telling you it's the flu, but I've had the flu a lot. This doesn't feel like the flu kind of thing. But I'm also not the best communicator either. So I'm just kind of like, hey, I need to go on the sheep hunt. Like, give me some shit, more saying that than anything else.
Yeah.
Well, next thing I know, they take me to the CT scan to take pictures of my stomach. Well, the scan comes back and, my contact at the hospital texts me and goes, hey, it's not good. You're not going anywhere. I'm like,
oh man,
well, what the fuck does that mean? Right.
Yeah.
So then the doctor shows up, and then the ER doctor, all these doctors start showing up. Do you have any history of blood clots? Any history of this? I'm like, no, not that I know of. What is going on? We think you have a blood clot in your artery to your intestines, and your intestines are losing blood flow, so they're dying. And that's like very dangerous, right? Like go septic, the whole thing. And there's only one way to know. We got to go in your stomach. You either have it or you don't, but like this isn't something to mess around with.
So you're going into surgery.
So the surgeons tell me the surgeon's on his way. You need to take off, get on the surgeon gown. Like we're wheeling you into surgery right now. Call my wife. I'm like, hey, I'm going into emergency surgery. Like, I don't know what's going on. I thought I was coming here, thought I was going for drugs, right? Like just to flush it out for the sheep hunt. Next thing I know, I'm going into surgery, potentially coming out with colostomy bag and all kinds of stuff to let my guts like heal again from this blood clot.
Yeah.
And I'm asking him like, how does this happen? I am healthy. I don't eat bad. I'm healthy. Yeah. I don't know. It's, it's really rare, but every so often, like your heart will just throw off like a little flake of muscle or something. And maybe it just got caught right there in the artery. So I'm getting pissed. None of it's making sense to me, but I am in pain and it's not going away. So they are making a little bit of sense. I go to the surgery room. Doctor meets me. You have any questions? I'm like, what is going on? Like that literally my only question is what the hell is going on? He's like, I don't know, but your scans are not good. And I'm only going to know if we go in there.
Yeah.
They go in there. What happened was I got appendicitis, but I had a rare presentation of it. I'm not a doctor by any means. I'm just telling you what they said, where my appendix started to like disease and it like retracted behind my intestines. So it like pulled back behind, and that was the pain, that weird pain I was having. Yeah. And I had appendicitis.
So you hear people's appendix rupturing.
So mine didn't rupture. Mine was leaking.
Okay.
So it was like slow leaking.
A slow.
Yeah. A rupture would have been, everyone would have known, but like the presentation of mine, it had retracted behind my intestines, which is why it looked so crazy. And it ended up being appendicitis.
So they do surgery.
So I should have just a little tiny thing right here and potentially still be going sheep hunting. But no, I woke up with 11 staples and the recovery, like I've never had surgery on my stomach, like on guts and stomach. And this shit is not fun. Like, I don't know any other way to say it, but like, holy shit, man. Like having my abdomen wall and my intestines messed with. So while he was in there, he's like, I wanted to do due diligence since I cut you open that way for appendicitis. So I pulled out all your intestines and I took biopsies and I hit him with a blood flow camera.
He's just telling this matter-of-factly.
Yeah. So when he rounded on
me. I pulled
me,
out all your intestines and had a good look through.
He rounded on me the next morning and I'm sitting there, I'm like, so what'd you do? He's like, well, I just told him, I'm like, wait, like you had him out? He goes, literally on the table next to you.
You feel violated?
And I did, actually. It's like I strung him out and your liver and this and that. So I hit them all with blood flows and biopsies. And we get to test it all now. So it's not a complete waste. We took your appendix out that way. Like now you're going to have peace of mind about your intestines and all that. All the biopsies came back great. It's all good. But man, appendicitis. And I have 11 staples in my stomach and the recovery.
How crazy is it that happened?
And now the bottom of my incision is ripping open.
Oh,
and I'm supposed to leave on an elk hunt in 30-something days. And now the bottom of my incision is ripping.
I got some super glue in the truck if you want to put that together.
So I've been texting the doctor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, can I glue this? He's like, do not glue it. I'm like, oh shit, okay.
You're like, I got some Gorilla Glue.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. So anyways, now I got to figure out why the hell this incision is ripping.
Well, we're glad you're okay, man. And like,
and me too.
I mean, it's like I told you earlier, it's just crazy because I mean, the alternative is that happens 3 or 4 days later, and you're on a horse
8 hours into
into the backcountry. I mean, the alternative is
I was sick
scary.
though. I was really sick.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you're feeling better.
Thanks, man.
Hopefully,
I appreciate a bunch of people were reaching out, so I wanted to give the full story.
Hopefully, you get on a sheep hunt.
That's what everyone was asking. Like, oh man, so you have to reschedule the sheep hunt? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got a call. I got a call with the outfit this afternoon to try to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it just goes to show you, man. You never know. You're healthy. You're in shape.
Man,
you eat well. Take good care of yourself. You just never know.
I was in such good shape.
You just don't know what's going to happen. So.
No, I had no. I mean, that literally talk about out of left field. Like that was nuts,
man. Well, we're glad you're good.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, we'll wrap this one up. We're probably how often are we? 2 hours. God, I didn't think we could talk that long, just you and I.
Oh, I did.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
You knew this would be a long one?
Yeah. I knew we could talk. Well, and like I said, my storytelling gets a little long-minded.
Mine too. No, I think it was good, man. I appreciate you. I just wanted to do this and I thought it'd be fun. And
I agree.
I think in my head, I had kind of an idea and then it exceeded my own expectations. Yeah. It's always good when it does that. So hopefully people, you got excited. And like I said, we're glad that you're feeling good. So we appreciate it. Yeah, we'll look forward to the next one.